Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
Good evening and welcome to Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott, and we are in for a great show. We're talking UFOs with author and researcher Geo Turner, but tonight's a little bit different. He's going to teach us how we can actually take that video footage on our phone. He's going to teach us that tonight so we can all practice and get better. And don't forget to compliment him on his beautiful mustache because it is gorgeous as well. So before we bring Geo on, let us say hello to each and every one of you because that's the way we start things here. Tim Mothman and his goatee in the gold medal position. T-Bone with a silver. Kitty Caddywhack with a bronze medal tonight. And Race Fan in the fourth position. Robert Lamoth and Thunderhead. How you guys doing tonight? Nice to see you. Trucker Andrew, good to have you here. As we scroll on down on our roll call, we say hello to Necessary Dialogue and Michael Morris, the attorney at large. Frankie B., how are you tonight? As we scroll on down to JSCO. JSCO will be signing autographs after the show. Line up to the left of the studio if you don't mind. To the left of the studio. Mama Catherine, there she is. Mwah. I love you, my dear. I hope you had a great start to your week, and we're going to continue it tonight. So get comfy in your chair. I promise you it's going to be a good one. Moving on down after Mama Catherine, we have Mickey G. We have Road Flare. Pissing me off, Evan Walters. Always pissing me off, but I'm glad you're here. Scrolling on down. Up next, we have Crystal Cat. How are you tonight? And up next, Mel WD-40 is here lubing us up for tonight's show because you can't talk UFOs without being lubed up. So thank you, Mel, for doing that. Don't forget to give yourself a little shot as well. Alexander Leslie, welcome to SOR Chat. As we scroll on down on our roll call to say hello to Stephanie Kenny Blankenship. Good to see you. And who is next on our list? Well, let's continue scrolling. And Luscious Jules, how are you tonight? Nice to see you. Hi, Carol Amerio. Thanks for coming on in. Number 2 in your program tonight, starting on defense from Stockholm, Sweden. Lars Jansson. He's up for the Norris this year. Playing well this year. Good job, Lars. A way to keep the puck out of your zone. All right, moving on down. Next, we have Thomas Rock. How are you? Pre-blown, welcome to SOR Chat. As we continue on with our roll call, Integrationing is here. Integrationing will be signing autographs after the show as well. Line up to the right of the studio, if you don't mind, to the right of the studio. And B, how are you tonight? Thank you for joining us, J Truth. And Algaray over on Twitch, so excited for Geo Turner tonight that he literally deadlifted 500 pounds of mustache hair to warm up for Geo tonight. 500 pounds of mustache hair. He did it 77 times. Good job on the deadlift tonight, Algaray. Appreciate you. Gear Jammers, welcome to SOR Chat. Ozzy, how are you? Undead Jed, thanks for coming on in. Operation Shutdown and Skip to Malou, good morning to you. As we scroll on down on our roll call to say hello to Digger Dog. Creepy Pasta, how you doing? Doug Shelby is here. The Doug Shelby has arrived, which means we can officially start this show. As we scroll on down and say hello to Bill Sardellis and Edwin Guerra. How you guys doing tonight? Hope you had a great weekend. I'm Hardcore over on X. Nice to see you. As we scroll on down, T-Bone, my man, thank you for kicking off the super chat tonight. The super chat is a wonderful way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. Be like T-Bone, everybody. He's amazing. Spiraling 69, how are you? Shane Gord, nice to see you tonight. As we scroll on down and we say hello to East Coast Turnaround on X. In the studio, nice to see you. And we're going to get the radio side going right now. Hello and welcome to the radio and podcast side of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. We're in for a great treat. Geo Turner is here. He's going to teach us how to actually film UFOs, what to look for, how to use the camera on our iPhones and Samsungs properly. We're going to get to him momentarily. We are just in roll call on our YouTube side as we say hello to Kurt M. Jeff Steve Garvey is here. He'll hit a home run for you as we scroll on down. And let's see here. Who's next? Who is next? Well, we got all of you guys. Paramarv, nice to see you, buddy. And Pam Harris, thank you for coming on in. Super Chat is open. Our store is open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on our website. And throw those horns up, everybody. Let's rock.
Are you ready to hear your mystic voice of the night?
It's time to wake up.
He's here. Be quiet. He's ready for you to listen. Let's point our ears towards the little cabin knows. We're together, friends. It's time for Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott.
From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliate around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out Fumblefoot, read the newswire, check out our swag as well. You can follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Tonight's show is brought to you by Caribou Con. Get your tickets for September 18th through 20th at cariboucon.com, right here in the heart of British Columbia. We are going to learn how to look for UFOs tonight, film them, take pictures, and everything about them. Author, researcher, Geo Turner joins us from Hawaii, where he lives in the future, or in the past. I guess in the past, by a couple of hours. Then in hour number 3, Swamp Dweller will join us for another spooky story. Sad day in the UFO world if you have not heard yet. From Ancient Aliens, and he's been a contributor to every news network, including Fox, CNN, and many more. Nick Pope passed away today at the age of, I believe, of 61 years old from cancer. It's a sad story. We're going to get to that in the UFO report with Grant Baker in hour number 3 as well. So let's get right to it. I love this guy. As Geo Turner is here to hang out with us, you might expect to learn his advanced degrees in theoretical physics or how he's an expert in geospatial relativity and high energy particles, but he loves being a novelist. He does. Rather than having an academic history in sciences, Geo started with a graphic design degree. Yeah, that really led him doodling to covers and several illustrations, parlaying that into television production and a career that lasted there. Over the course of time, though, he got into UFOs. And for folks who are fascinated by the stars, he doesn't want you to get too bogged down with it. Why? Because he's looking to help bridge the gap between you, the ordinary citizen like me, who really doesn't know how to use their phone properly or to actually film these things properly. He's going to make sure that you can read his book and go do it for yourself. I like it. We need more of it. Geo Turner, it is always good to have you back on Spaced Out Radio. How you doing, my friend?
Aloha from the islands.
UFOs, the topic just will not go away, my man. What do you think of all this going on right now?
It's been something that has been utterly fascinating to me since it fell back into my wheelhouse in 2017. And I've been studying and researching and diving deep. And now I finally think I found a way where I can actually put my 20 plus years in television production into use by making the evidence better.
How did this all begin for you, this journey into UFOs?
I was pretty agnostic about the whole thing, and I had kind of put the subject behind me, thinking after reading a few books on the topic, that it was just kind of settled science for me. But then when the whole New York Times article came out, I consider myself an open-minded skeptic. And though I had dismissed it previously, I decided, well, okay, if there's new evidence, I'm going to take a look. And down the rabbit hole I went.
How have you enjoyed it? Because I know you're more into the research aspect. You're not really into the political side of everything. And this topic has become so political over the last little bit.
Well, what I am glad to see is, even though there's politics involved, it is bipartisan. Doesn't matter if you're left or right or whatever. Everyone agrees that we deserve disclosure. Now, whether or not we're going to get that or not from the government, nah.
Do you think it's going to happen?
I would not hold my breath. That's why I want to do something like this, where citizen science is going to break the barrier, I think. I'm aware of a few organizations that are currently putting together apparatus outside of government control, and that way we can't get censored.
What do you think is the biggest holdback for UFOs right now?
Ooh, probably the NHI themselves.
Define that.
NHI, non-human intelligence.
Oh, I get that, but define what you mean by that.
I'm kind of a firm mind that there is some intention behind that is coming from above that doesn't wish to have disclosure happen too quickly. So, but who knows? We if you listen to Chris Bledsoe, we might be all kinds of revelations in the next year or two.
You are someone who has written about this. You've talked about it numerous times. You have a real passion for this subject. What do you try to bring to people?
I've been someone that has just been a science nerd my whole life. I've really enjoyed just delving into physics and all different forms of science, learning all I can, just sucking everything up like a sponge. And one of my idols growing up is Neil deGrasse Tyson. I used to really enjoy watching Cosmos and the way he would take the heady concepts and boil them down into layman's understandings. So imagine my disappointment when he just decided to make it all about ridicule on this topic. So I figured if Neil isn't going to step up and help people to understand what is possible, then I'll be happy to do that.
I think he's upset a lot of people about that. I really do, because I think a lot of people look to him as kind of somebody who's going to tell you the straight goods. And when it comes to UFOs, his absolute denial of this subject, and you could tell he really hasn't looked into it just by the way he contradicts it, is so conniving about it. I think that's just kind of disappointed a number of people.
Yeah, there's definitely disappointment. I also, who knows what the motivation is behind that. I understand that Carl Sagan initially was very much interested in the topic of UFOs, but early on in his career, he made this 180-degree switch and then just started dismissing it a great deal as saying, it's settled science. It's not an interesting topic. And, we should focus on real science. And then I came to learn later on through other interviews that Carl Sagan had some very high level security clearances.
Kind of contradicts what he was saying, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, now I can understand why he suddenly made a 180 and went the other direction.
For you, as somebody who tries to get out there and film these craft, whatever they are, how does one tell the difference between a UFO and a satellite?
Oh, that one is not hard to do. So honestly, here in Oahu, if we want to go and look at a gorgeous night sky, all we have to do is head up to the North Shore. On a nice clear night, you can just lay out on the sand, no telescope or binoculars, and just look up, and you will see satellites just tracking right across the sky in one straight line across the horizon. Now, if you ever see one of those satellites suddenly go zigzag, well, that might not be a satellite.
A lot of people look to them with the speed. Like sometimes you'll see satellites, they all seem to be moving the same speed. And then there's this one, that many people I've heard the term used as runners, where they're just, running as fast as they can across the sky, going faster than any jet. For me, when I look at those, I often wonder, okay, is it something that is, maybe it's a little bit higher, going at a different speed along the Earth's rotation?
Or lower in altitude.
Or would it be lower? That it looks
Yeah,
faster?
because that way it has to go faster to stay in orbit.
Gotcha. How often do we see that happen?
Mostly I just see Starlink satellites. They're all very consistent speed. I haven't seen too many fast walkers out here in Hawaii.
So what do you see in Hawaii?
As of yet, I'm still very objective about the whole thing. I have not been able to say that I have seen anything that is of anomalous nature. I've actually got night vision goggles that I can sit out on my lanai and point it up at the sky, and I'll just let it record for hours on end. And then I'll play it back in high speed and watch for any kind of movement. And mainly I detect, airliners and Cessnas, things like that.
See, that's where I like where I live, is because we don't get a lot of air traffic here. Like we maybe get a couple of jets a day flying over. And usually it's either they're coming back from Asia or going to Asia, because we're part of the loop where they start to make the loop over. Mm-hmm. And so, except last summer when I had the real cool opportunity to actually watch a B-1 bomber fly over my house at altitude. I believe it was probably Alaska. So that was really cool. If you've never seen a B-1 fly at altitude, it's really cool. Very cool.
I have had one here in Hawaii just come buzz right over. It's like straight out of Star Wars.
Oh, they are amazing. It's one of my favorite aircraft ever, the B-1 bomber. It just looks perfect. Looks absolutely perfect. So if you've never seen anything, why do you keep trying? What's in it for you?
I've seen sufficient enough evidence to know that there is something definitely going on. And we've all seen the footage shared by other podcasters where you see the 5 observables in different aspects. So, I'm just going to be patient, and science is actually a very slow, tedious process. You don't usually get what you want the first time you go out and try. However, I do love the fact that with the internet, we can reach out and share everything we know with all the other people out there. So like I've taken this Skywatcher's field guide and I've shared it with people in the Uinta Basin with near the Skinwalker Ranch area. And those guys go out and right now they're recording new footage, hopefully with this all proper specs and everything, so that they can submit it to the SCU, the Scientific Coalition for UAP Studies. So even if I'm not seeing them, if we can get people to set their cameras upright, then maybe they can be the ones. And I just did my part to help out.
Scientifically speaking, there are many scientists who I've talked to on this show who don't want the public involved in this. They think the news of aliens, alien abduction, and all sorts of things are ruining the scientific study of this because it takes the subject way too woo rather than focusing on the nuts and bolts of the technologies, the propulsion systems, the anti-gravitics, and everything that goes on in between. How do you find a balance between the two? Because the public, especially those who make the ultimate claims that things have happened to them, myself included, okay, we're just trying to find answers for what has happened to us. And we would love to work with the scientific community, but that community at large, for not all of it, I would say a good share of it, but not all of it, doesn't seem to want to go down that road.
I'm very much a nuts and bolts guy myself. So I feel real comfortable talking about subjects of physics and antigravitics and extended electrodynamics, all of that stuff. But eventually the data does take you into territories where it's outside your comfort zone. And if you are going to be a person that follows the data, then you just have to be open-minded but skeptical.
How do we prove it?
So if it goes into the woo, it goes into the woo, and you just gotta be open to it.
So as a scientific guy, and this is actually great that you're on because I get to ask you this question. As a scientific guy then, what is your thoughts when you hear former Congressman Matt Gaetz come out recently on the Benny Johnson podcast and again on WABC last night with Walter M. Sterling, where he has the understanding and the ability to hear some of these stories, and then he hears a story from a current enlisted person still serving in the U.S. Army who says that there are 14 bases right now in the United States where they are allegedly having aliens and humans interact for going into hybridization programs. I mean, it sounds like a scientific Hollywood movie.
Right. Well, I am working on another UFO science book outside of this topic. And hybridization is a scientific factor that I was researching. There's a Russian-born geneticist named Max Rempel who came up with some really interesting research on his end. He was able to gain access to some DNA studies where he had a control group section where it was just basic random people from DNA sites like 23andMe and a few others. And then he also had people who claimed that they were abducted and they wondered if their children were, somehow adjusted. And so when you take DNA from a mother and a father and you make a child, all the DNA that goes into that child is from either the mother or the father. Pretty straightforward. Unless there's, the occasional random mutation. But otherwise, it's pretty much 50-50. I have twin daughters, and all of the genetics of both of my kids came from either myself or my wife. Now, these people that have claimed to be abducted, according to Dr. Max Rempel, their offspring actually shows a significant number of DNA sequences that did not come from either the mother or the father. So that just needs to be followed up with some peer-reviewed studies and extended out, but that was something just happened recently. But that right there is a very scientific kind of nuts and bolts way of getting to the truth. If these people are being hybridized, what's the word we would use? Hybridized, then Yeah, you could genetically test to see if that's what's happening.
How do you feel then, as somebody looking down this road, if you hear a former politician come out and say that, somebody who was up for, what was it, he was up for one secretarial position or something along that lines. I apologize. I'm not as familiar with American politics, being Canadian, but Matt Gaetz was adamant that this story is true, that allegedly, I don't know if you've heard the story or not, so I'll fill you in. He basically said that allegedly he was told there are 14 bases where these human hybridization programs are going on, saying that they have captured aliens. And he went on to say, and Tim Burchett kind of acknowledged this as well, that it is a true story, that allegedly they have been taking people from third world countries, war-torn countries, and destitute people over here to do these experimentations with these aliens, like allegedly kidnapping. Like, it's a scary story if you think about that, Geo.
I have heard some interesting tales about that, particularly around like Indonesia during the tsunami event. And I can't remember the name of the whistleblower on that particular one. But I came to learn later on through the Skywatchers group that a lot of those people actually volunteered for the opportunity. And if you were to speak to some of them, they would tell you, hey, no, don't blow the whistle on us. We are actually having a good life here. Now, I don't know all of this with the deep underground military bases, the DUMBs. But yeah, it's definitely, it's pretty wild. It's definitely more fictional than Hollywood presents. Stranger than fiction, they say.
It is a scary topic, though. Like, even somebody like me that's very much involved in this topic on a daily basis, whether it's woo or talking to scientists such as yourselves, you could go down so many different roads with this. And to hear this potentially, and as a journalist to cover up my butt saying the word allegedly, this is happening, this opens up a whole new Pandora's box that I don't think anybody's ever thought of. I mean, look, we've all heard the stories of people who claim to have been abducted, and women who have had alleged false pregnancies, where they test positive of being pregnant and their body shows all the symptoms. And then 3-4 months later, they're showing no signs of any type of pregnancy whatsoever. We hear that, and we've heard dozens of stories like that. We hear about men, starting with Whitley Strieber, getting the old anal probe, which has, been made fun of for so many years in this subject. And, talking about how they take male sperm through doing something along the lines that, might be a little uncomfortable for some of us to talk about. And then to find out that maybe
they do that with horses.
Yeah.
They do that same thing with horses too. Yeah. There's something. I say that when it comes to NHI, we want to try and humanize everything and understand things from our own point of view because we are human. But there's every reason to believe that an NHI society is going to have orthogonal ways of thinking compared to what we're accustomed to. I know I was reaching out to local university here in Hawaii, trying to bring together a student society similar to the Yale UAP Society. And I reached out to several different departments, including the law department, because there really should be some examination about the moral, there needs to be some lines drawn about where we should not cross. And I would think that would also include shooting down people from not here.
Well, that's a whole different topic because apparently we have, according to Marco Rubio. And we'll get into that and more and how to film UFOs, people. Our guest tonight, Geo Turner. You can find his books online. And you know what? his latest book is all about how you at home can learn to use your camera on your phone properly to actually catch some of these things. I need this help. You probably do too. Let's find out how next. All right, we are clear. Your light, your light,
yeah, the light really dipped.
yeah, totally did. Thank you, Terry Hall, and your beautiful mustache.
I could still go more.
Ain't that the truth, T-Bone? I learned the next time I see a UFO, take my phone out. Last time I tried that, T-Bone, the craft disappeared. It's like it knew.
Yeah, there we are.
Beautiful, beautiful. It lights that mustache up perfectly.
I'll probably have to do it one more time once the sun's completely down.
What time is it then?
It is 6:30 sunset.
So you got about 3 hours. Sunset at 6:30?
Yep.
I never knew.
In Hawaii, it pretty much sets at 6:30, between 6 to 6:45 all year round.
Really?
Just being that close to the equator.
I guess so. At my house, it in winter time, the sun will set on solstice around 3:45. And then in summertime at solstice, the sun will set after 11 o'clock.
Yeah, that's one thing I do. I used to live in Cincinnati, Ohio, and there would be those evenings into 9 p.m. and the sun's still just barely there.
How long have you lived in Hawaii now?
Almost 20 years.
Wow. All right. What are we drinking?
Coke Zero.
Here, I thought
Trying to keep
some
the
fancy
LBs down.
We're going to show off here. Paramarb says, sunset at 6:30. So in other words, Geo Turner owns the night before the rest of us. Pretty much. What time does the sun rise then?
Right around the same time. Right around 6:30.
So you get 12 and 12 then.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool. I never knew. I've never been to Hawaii.
We get rainbows almost every day. Because there's always rain passing by somewhere, and you can just see the rainbows all the time. You get the double rainbows here.
Yeah, we get those up where I live too. That's I love the double rainbows. Double the luck. All right, we got about a minute and 15 seconds.
So yeah, I'm working on I'm working on my next one is all about non-human intelligence.
Very nice. Very nice.
Kind of stretch my comfort zone.
Really pushing the woo here. Good for you.
I'm still looking for the hard science wherever I can, though.
Of course, you have to. You have to. We got about 30 seconds. Big thank you tonight to Mickey G and T-Bone for the great super chats. The super chat is a wonderful way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. Don't forget, if you haven't already, hit subscribe, ring that bell, give us a thumbs up because it helps with our algorithms and we greatly appreciate it. Shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. No ugly swag there at all, people. No ugly swag. So make sure you check it on out. Here we go. Here comes the second half hour of Spaced Out Radio. My name is Dave Scott. We always appreciate you tuning us on in wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. We want to remind all of you that if you missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives on YouTube or any major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Here we go. G.O. Turner is here. You can find all of his books on Amazon, his UFO science books, which get into everything from crop circles to physics, vehicles, how these crafts seem to run. G.O., welcome back. What do we got going on here? 1 second. There we go. Sorry about that. I had you.
Hey.
Let's talk about UFO science here for a quick second here, because it will lead into how do we as people learn how to actually video and take proper pictures of these things. Because I know I need a lesson. I do. The science behind these craft, to me, is confusing because we hear, if we go back 34 years, we hear somebody like Ben Rich, who used to run the Lockheed Skunk Works, say that we are 50 years ahead of what the public sees. I could just imagine that. I've heard numbers that say it's anywhere between 80 and 150 years now because technology is advanced so fast. How do we know whether or not it's ours or theirs? What gives off the clue to you?
So material science is a big part of it. So if you, in my first book, I basically break down the difference between a NHI craft and man-made one. Would be basically, we still build things part by part at a time, where an NHI vehicle seems to be able to create almost like being 3D printed into reality as one singular piece. So if you look at like Bob Lazar's sport model, like the chairs are molded right into the floor, which is molded into the outside, and it all seems to be made of the same materials for the most part. So with man-made stuff, you're looking at rivets and plates and assembled parts. There have been cases of recoveries, though, that I found interesting, where they were able to unlock the saucer shape and have it come apart in sections, which they could then transport on lowboy trucks.
But to the naked eye, looking in the sky, as somebody who is amateur as myself, or many people in our audience, how could we tell the difference? Would we be able to?
Well, if they're all basically using the same principles of some form of gravity-controlled engine, then the effects will be pretty similar. I would say the the probably the trickier, more dangerous part is, from what I understand, the man-made craft are much more ionizing radiation, and so that would be the hard way of finding out. I wouldn't want to find out that way.
Well, unless they come floating on down and say, "Hey, do you want to come for a ride?" Because that's always fun too.
Yeah. I'm also fascinated by the ones where they say, it's a 60-foot diameter disc on the outside, and then you go inside and it's a football stadium. It's like, I have tried to go down that rabbit hole as well with curved space-time to make an interior larger than the exterior.
In your research for this, what's the strange? Would that be the strangest story you've heard, or are there stranger?
Oh, there's so many bizarre stories out there. The high strangeness. I think back to the story of Louis Elizondo's family looking out the back window and seeing a full-grown wolf standing on its hind legs and leaning against a tree, staring back at them. It's like straight out of a Warner Brothers cartoon.
Oh, who hasn't dealt with Dogman before? Thank God, not me, but I know it's coming. I know it's coming. It's weird, though, how, if you go down the woo side of things, even looking at it from a scientific perspective, it's weird how the woo seems to follow the woo for a lot of people. And
I wonder how much of the woo is intentional.
I don't know.
It's like they are trying to do something bizarre just to see how you react.
I would agree with that. And, not to get into my story, because this isn't about me, but to use as myself as an example here, for me, I lived a happily boring life, man. I liked my life prior to all of this. I really did. I thought I had it dialed in and tuned in where, the rest of my life I would be on cruise control, working my job, taking the family on vacations, had the ATVs to go riding whenever we wanted, go camping, do a lot of cool things. And then it hit me. It hit me hard. And it just seems like those of us who get slapped on the side of the head with the woo salami, okay, it's almost like whatever is controlling the phenomenon literally takes you and says, okay, we've given you this taste now. Let's see how much you can handle. I look at a lot of these people who've been deemed crazy over the years, or lunatics back in the days of the asylums and all of that. And I wonder how many of them were just awakened by the phenomena, that they were just talking publicly about it. And, because it's not of the societal norm, they were just thrown in the shrink containers.
I've also come to the understanding that many of the cases that we all know about and we've heard about in the past, we're still not getting the whole story, because many people who experience this phenomena firsthand, they self-edit. They will try and just give you the story that they think you will accept. Meanwhile, they're keeping the really wild parts to themselves. So I know a lot of investigators these days are asking, once they feel they have the whole story, they turn off the cameras and they come back and say, okay, now what else really happened? And that's when they find, oh, yeah, there's this unbelievable thing that they just didn't want to share.
And I've had that conversation with people behind the scenes too. And they've asked me, well, what happens to you when you've been taken? I said, it always feels like you're on that carnival ride, the Gravitron, where you're laying against the back, and then all of a sudden you feel that gravitational pull that sucks your body into, that gross mat that they make you lie on as you're standing up. I said, that's how it always starts. They're like, yeah, that's not the first time I've heard that before. And that's how it starts for me. I mean, I remember one time, Geo, where I had that gravitational pull. And when I kept yelling at him, I said, I don't want to go today. I don't want to go today. When I woke up, I was about 2.5 feet from my ceiling, and I fell back into bed. And I woke up my wife because when I was falling back, I flailed my arms and cracked her right across her back. And she's like, "What happened?" Well, she used, I'm going to use the polite term. What happened? Why did you do that? But it was more a lot of cursing and swearing. And I said, honey, I think I just got dropped back into bed. And she's like, "Oh, are you okay?" Like, no, that was weird. That was weird. But that's just the way it is for a lot of people, though. Not maybe that instance, Geo, but they don't know why it's happening to them. They don't understand what's happening. They know they're not crazy, but they're being driven crazy by these topics. It's unbelievable. It's something that a science fiction writer is supposed to write.
And from what I understand, the NHI also seem to have their own particular sense of humor.
Yes. Yes, they do. The one that I don't get though is how you can be in a group of people and a certain amount of those people see one thing and the other half do not, but they see something else and the other half don't see that. That's the one that's really playing with my mind right now, because we actually had that happen at one of our locations where there were 7 of us. I saw the UFO on the ground. The 6 others couldn't. And this thing was maybe 20 yards away from us. But the 6 others saw aliens walking through the trees.
It's where it really gets extremely fuzzy, because evidently they do have the ability to reach into your brain and get you to perceive what they want you to perceive.
Well, I would have liked to have seen them aliens with everybody else. I can tell you that.
I'm aware of a case where a family was driving on a freeway and they had one of these big glass roofs on the top of their car, and they looked up and they saw a giant flying saucer overhead, and someone had the foresight to grab a camera and start taking pictures. And they were looking around, and all the other people in the other cars, no one seemed to notice. Only they were the ones who were seeing it. And then when they got the camera developed, it turned out it was just a little tiny sparkle of light in the middle of the photograph, as opposed to a giant flying saucer.
No kidding.
Yeah. So it's like, well, which one's real?
About 4 years ago, I had an experience at one of my Sasquatch sites. I have 2 Sasquatch sites that I go to. Okay. This time, I was leaning against the front end of my buddy's truck. And way off in the distance, there was like a row of trees that kind of made like a tunnel that wasn't covered. And way off in the distance in the sky of those row of trees, one light appeared. Thought it was Jupiter, until it was joined by 2 more, making a perfect triangle.
Okay.
I get my phone out. I'm like, this is the moment. I'm actually going to get my phone out of my pocket. I'm not going to forget to take the picture this time. So I reach for my phone. I don't get my phone 2/3 out of the way of my pocket, and the 2 lights disappeared, and the one faded off. The one I thought was Jupiter faded off into the darkness.
Yeah, see, that's what I mean. Like, the NHI, for some reason, doesn't want to be recorded unless your name is Chris Bledsoe.
Well,
for some reason, he gets a hall pass.
Does that happen to you?
Well, I have yet to record a UAP of any kind.
Well, if you want UAP, you just got to go to the local airport. There's all sorts of man-made objects there.
But those are NAP, or not anomalous. They're known.
So in my situation with my phone, did I do anything wrong? Or was I not quick enough? Because I was trying to be very diligent with it. And then they blanked out like they knew.
Well, yeah, that we don't have any control over. But if somebody wants to show off or they don't notice that you notice, it would be ideal if you had your phone already set to go and you don't make all the most common mistakes that people make making UAP videos. The biggest issue scientists currently have is, well, we don't have enough data, they say. We can't use these videos on the internet because they just lack any substance. And that's where I realized with my 20 plus years in television and camera production, I can actually make a difference and help people to, here's how you actually do it. If you want to do it right and you want to document it and you want your UAP video to be accepted by the Scientific Coalition for UAP Studies, this field guide will actually walk you through how to set up your camera and have it ready to go.
You know what makes a good guest, Geo, is when you play into the warm-up to the topic like you did right there. That was very nice, by the way.
Oh,
very nice. So take us through that. What do we as people, when we're out in a park or we're sitting on our patio at night or we're in a forest looking for Bigfoot, what are we doing wrong?
So the biggest cardinal sin is to pick up your phone and do the pinch zoom, where you just pinch in, you zoom in as much as you can. What you're doing there is, if you've ever taken a little JPEG logo that was like the size of a postage stamp and tried to blow it up, it gets really scuzzy and fuzzy and garbage. And when you do a pinch zoom with your smartphone, that's what you're doing there too.
Okay,
so that
what
would
should we do?
So many smartphones these days, well, let's just start out by saying a smartphone now, pretty much all of them are 4K resolution smartphones. And they're just designed for people to use on an everyday basis currently for like birthday parties or a day at the beach or picnics or what have you. So all of the settings that are in your base camera app are like all auto designed to function for you in those kind of settings. But if you want to document UAPs, then you actually have to be able to turn off all those auto things, because those auto parts are going to mess up your UAP footage. If you have autofocus on, well, a UAP tends to be if you're looking at a ball of plasma, the way autofocus works is it tries to look for the contrast, and it will constantly pump in and out of the focus, going blurry, sharp, which makes pretty invalid scientific data. The best way to set it up is you set your camera up so that it has infinite focus. When you set up your smartphone for infinite focus, basically anything over 30 feet in front of you will be crystal sharp, and you won't get that pumping in and out action. That's a big cardinal sin when it comes to footage.
I'm trying to find that out on my phone as we speak. You know that.
Well, also, it's not as simple as just using your base camera app, because again, all of those apps are designed to be very user-friendly with auto things that are all just controlled in there, and it's difficult to turn off those functions. That's why I found a truly free app called Blackmagic Camera. And Blackmagic is a company that I use in television production. And so the reason that this app is free is because they want you to get used to using their app, and there's no ads, there's no built-in whatever, you can buy extra stuff. They just want you to get used to using their form of graphical user interface, so that way when you want to go all pro, you're going to think Blackmagic and want to buy more of their equipment. Just like I'm giving away this book right now for free on my website, because my hope is if you find it useful and interesting, you'll want to go and see what the other books are about. So that's why you can trust a company like Blackmagic. You can download it for either iPhone or Android. And with it, I walk you through in the field guide how to set up your camera so that you will have your smartphone ready to go. If you're ever standing in line at a coffee shop and you look up and you see a disc up in the sky, you can whip out that camera, hit the Blackmagic app, and it's already set, and you just hit record and start running. And the nice part about it is when you've got it all set up in Blackmagic, you can still use your base camera app for all your other daily life photos, families, things like that. You just leave the Blackmagic just for when you want to record UAP, and it's set to go.
Does it work for more than just UFOs? Does it work, let's say, for those of us who are going into the forest looking for Bigfoot?
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't matter if it's Nessie or a Sasquatch, whatever. You're going to get the footage, and it's going to be in focus. It's going to be at a high frame rate, a high shutter speed, hopefully. And even better, what the SCU requires is the metadata that comes with your footage.
For people
Now,
who may not understand what metadata is, explain that.
Metadata is all the information that is recorded in the background of your footage that basically provides the scientists or engineers, here's the camera settings as they were set during the time of recording. Here's my GPS position so they can look you up on the map and see exactly where you were standing when you were recorded. It can also tell elevation, audio settings, and the data bit rate at which it was all recorded. So that way you actually have scientific objective data. Which, and this is a bonus thing, if let's say you're standing out on a bay somewhere and you see a Tic Tac hovering over the middle of the bay, and you are able to get your camera out and you're recording, if you could signal your buddy that lives across the bay on the other side to whip out their smartphone and start recording too, it doesn't even matter if they have the same settings as you. Having two different cameras in different positions, a scientist at the SCU will be able to take the footage from the two separate cameras and the metadata and be able to triangulate to the craft, and then they'll be able to figure out the size of the craft, its distance, and its speed, and all of that vital information that they rarely ever get from a typical internet video.
I never knew that, you could do all of that. I mean,
Yeah.
I shouldn't say, I mean, that sounds ignorant to me, but, it didn't even cross my mind thinking the camera is the camera on the phone.
It's so much, I tell people our smartphone cameras would make any World War II intelligent agent just like, just over the moon, like, oh my God, what an incredible piece of technology. We can win the war with this. Well, we have it. It's in our pocket. Just no one has taken the time to ever sit down and teach people how to use it. Excuse me.
That is just incredible. And it doesn't guarantee you're going to capture anything, but it does guarantee that it's going to give you a better opportunity.
So yeah, if you have it set to go, when that opportunity arises and you remember to pull out your phone, because most of us are going to be standing there going, oh. Even the best of us, I understand, like Jeremy Corbell and the rest of them have all stood and just stared blankly before they realize I need to pull out my camera.
Well, we all have. We all have. That is for sure. How long should we record for when we're recording? As long as it takes?
As long as you, I would just keep going. I would let it run as long as you can. There's a lot of different factors that will help improve the quality of things. And I walk through a step-by-step through the different chapters in the field guide, why things are set up the way they are. And then I have a walkthrough section that teaches you step-by-step where to make those settings in the Blackmagic app.
All right. We'll get you to hold on right there because G.O. Turner will return on Spaced Out Radio 2. We'll even get to some questions from all of you out there in audience land. More UFO talk, how to film them. Next on the Mighty SOR. This is Spaced Out Radio with host Dave Scott. All right, my friend, we are clear. I'm going to put you in the background for a couple of minutes. We'll take a quick break. We got about 5 minutes. Okay. All right. Be right back. Here we go. All right, back. Let's get rid of this. Bring you guys back up and bring Geo back in. We got about 1:40 to go before we come back here. Just want to make sure that I haven't missed anybody in our chat room. And T-Bone, thank you for gifting a membership. We appreciate that. All right. Got to wait for our audience to get returned from break here, too. You having fun, Geo?
Yeah, I always enjoy this.
Good. Good.
Only my wife wanted to chat so much about the topic.
Yeah. This is true. This is true. Mine's all right that way. She likes more of the paranormal side of everything. She's involved with our local museum, so it's very haunted. So we've started up a company called Haunted 108, which is trying to bring more paranormal tourism into our area. So that's
I did have some paranormal haunting experiences back when I was a security guard in college.
Well, hold that thought. We'll detour here when we get back. Thank you to T-Bone and Mickey for the super chats. Thank you, T-Bone, for gifting a membership. Give us a thumbs up if you don't mind. Watch it on YouTube. It helps with our algorithms. And we're going to talk more UFOs coming up here in 3 seconds. Here comes hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. We appreciate you tuning us on in wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. You can follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Vaticinate. Vaticinate is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Let's go to our guest tonight, author Geo Turner. He's a scientist. He loves learning about the UFO story, but we're going to detour here for a second because he just mentioned something during the break. You've had some paranormal experiences a long time ago. We got to get you to share these.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, I may not have ever seen an actual UFO in my life, but I had a period of my life when I was during my college years, I actually worked as a night guard. I would be a security guard from 11 p.m. at night till 7 in the morning, and then I would finish that job and go to college and do my classes before crashing out at the end of the day. But one of the most unique, interesting places I ever worked as a guard is a place called Union Terminal in Cincinnati, Ohio. Now, if anyone saw the recent Superman movie that just came out from James Gunn, that is the exact same building that they used in that movie to represent the Hall of Justice. It was also what was patterned after in the Super Friends cartoon back in the 70s for us old timers. So the interesting part is I was the security guard, the sole security guard in the middle of the night in that giant terminal building when there was no one else around and there was no power in the building, just me and my trusty little flashlight. So I had an occasion, and you're supposed to get out and walk around all of Union Terminal down through the halls in the dark and do your little security detects keys to prove that you're making your rounds. And I had one time where a friend of mine, a roommate who had a trained German Shepherd, he came by and we were just kind of sitting up there at the front desk. And part of the issue with Union Terminal was while this museum was under construction, they were going in and they were removing asbestos from the old construction. And there were holes that were knocked out in the side of the building. So occasionally some homeless person would wander in to try and find a place to crash out for the night. And as the security guard, my job was to go and kind of rustle feathers and so on. So one night, while my buddy came over with his German Shepherd, we sat there and we were just chatting together at the desk when the German Shepherd began to growl. And we looked down at her, and the dog's nose was pointing right to where the restaurant was, directly behind us. And we're like, okay, so obviously somebody some point snuck in, and now the dog is detecting it. So we both pull out our flashlights and we start following the German Shepherd, and we're right behind her as she goes right into the restaurant and turns the corner inside, and her nose points right towards the restroom door. And as we're standing there, we hear the toilet flush. And we're like, okay. So we go, "Rawr!" and we go rushing in, we bang the door open, and there was literally no one in there.
Oh, nice.
It's like, that place has definitely got its haunted aspect to it. And obviously that ghost also had a sense of humor.
That's still enough to freak you out, though.
Yeah, because there was no way. We were looking at the door when we heard the toilet flush. No one came past us.
I used to work in a haunted hockey rink.
Oh, okay.
And it wasn't your regular sized hockey rink. It was a training facility. So if you took a regular sized hockey rink and shrunk it down to about 2/3 the size, and it was in a warehouse area, my old hometown. And this warehouse area was literally carved out of a hillside. And I don't know what the hell was buried under there way long ago, but whatever was in that building scared the daylights out of me. I remember one time where my cousin and his girlfriend were with me because as I got off work at like 11 o'clock that night, and we were going to go out to the local bar and, have a good time after that. And so all of a sudden we start hearing, nobody's been in the rink but us three for about 30 minutes. And I'm cleaning up the dressing rooms, making sure there's no tape or beer cans or whatever. And I end up hearing a very distinct sound. Hockey pucks on plexiglass. Makes a distinct sound.
Yeah.
And I said to my cousin, I said, who's out on the rink? He goes, I don't know. I said, there's nobody in the building. So we go out to the rink. There's not a single puck on the rink. And there is nobody there. Go check all the doors. All the doors are locked. Yeah, that was a night where we turned the lights off early and got the hell out of there. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Hauntings are cool, but they can be a little bit creepy when things like that happen. That is for sure. Did that ever happen again to you? Or was it a one-time thing?
No, that was the most storytelling kind of event. There was a few other things that were just kind of, what was that? There was a few occasions where I would turn a corner. I swear I saw a dress go by somewhere. I was like, I doubt anyone's wearing a dress this time of night.
Man. Well, let's get back to UFOs. You were teaching us right beforehand in the last half hour about how to properly film UFOs, because some of the biggest mistakes that we make are when we are trying to film. Yep. We're not prepared for it. We're not prepared for that action to happen.
No one's ever taken the time to teach people how to properly record something like this. Why would you know? So yeah, that's what the whole point of the book is. And the nice part is it's a pretty skinny illustrated book where you can go right through it and learn the whole thing relatively quickly. So for instance, like the whole don't do the pinch zoom. Each phone is a little different, and many of your phones these days have more than one lens on them. And sometimes that third lens is a telephoto zoom lens. And so what you would do in that instance is there's a button within Blackmagic where you would click on the lens, and then you could tap for that magnified lens. The difference between doing a pinch zoom and a tap to a magnifying lens zoom, a telephoto zoom, is one is enlarging the pixels, while if you switch lenses, you're actually getting a tighter lens focus on an object that doesn't lose any resolution. So if you're recording at regular base zoom at 4K, and then you click the 2x zoom, now you're twice as close, but you're still at 4K resolution, and there's more detail for the scientists to study.
What about people who are using older model phones?
Well, the resolutions on some of those are still, I mean, you can still record in 1080, which is, still not nothing. That's still considered high definition. It's just the settings have to be a little lower. The bit rates are a little slower. I actually have in the book, there's a place where you can download my top 20 camera specs for the most popular cell phones out there currently. So if you have the iPhone 17 Pro X, here's all the different settings that will maximize your use for that particular phone. Or if you have a Pixel 10 or some Samsung phones, I have most of those in that top 20 list. And I'll update that once a year as new phones come out. So it's just something I can update every year. I really just want to see more people recording better video. And then we can start, submitting these things, and we can actually provide useful evidence.
Well, I'll give you an example, okay? Due to the absolutely disgustingly obscene costs for cell phone plans in Canada, and they are obscene. I haven't yet changed my phone. I'm due for an upgrade. I haven't changed my phone for my 13 Plus.
Okay.
How would that work compared to, say, an iPhone 17?
Well, I do have like the iPhone 15 settings in that list. That's the earliest I go back. But if you want, you can still actually go online and you can look up your own phone and then try and see what is its maximum quality settings that you can achieve. So you can go ahead and Google those and research them yourselves.
I'll have to check that out.
So yeah, I would recommend downloading the top 20 list. And even though your phone isn't in that list, you can see, oh, okay, here's the different settings that I need to look at to see how best to maximize my footage.
Do you recommend like always rolling? Because I mean, battery power comes into play then too.
Some of the older phones will definitely start to overheat, especially when you're doing a high bit rate and footage. Yeah, that is a limitation of the smartphone. There are a few limitations with smartphones. Many scientists, and I've spoken with some of them, they're like, oh, smartphones, you can't really, they want, like ultra high-end quality, 25x telephoto, yeah, mega whatever rates. But yeah, we can still do incredible amount of footage with a 4K footage at 60 frames a second and high shutter speeds with your 4K phone. But one of the limitations, for example, is the size of your lens on your camera. It's much smaller than, say, my television photo shooting camera. My Sony FX6, for example, has a much larger lens space than this little small one. So even if you get all your settings just right in certain conditions, a UAP video is probably still going to look a little blurry. But even a blurry piece of footage where it's a dot on the background can still provide data along with that metadata information and background information.
What about filming at night, though?
Mhm.
Because it's
So-
so much different than obviously filming during the day where you have the natural lighting. During the night, it's hard to zoom in at things that are moving at night, outside of them looking like just little dots in the sky. I mean, how do we change to get better quality at night footage?
So in that top 20 list, I have the daytime settings, and I also have the nighttime recommended settings. So you have to dial down some of those settings at nighttime to allow more light to come into your lens without hopefully going too high up in the ISO settings, which would bring grain and noise into the footage. But I actually walk through one of the chapters how to make all those settings. I do recommend that if you want to focus on doing nighttime shoots, go ahead and practice by pulling out your phone, getting those settings just right, and then look for an airliner flying overhead and make your adjustments based on that to see how well it records. The other thing I want to point out too that most people don't realize, and is why they pinch zoom, is you are getting more than likely 4K footage out of your smartphone. Now your screen size here is not 4K. So it's really just a screen is there as a reference to the footage you're actually getting. Once you record that footage, you can take it out and then you can put it up on a 4K monitor and you'll see all the detail that isn't showing up in this just regular cell phone's monitor screen. You're getting more footage than what you're actually seeing.
The zoom quality, though, do you recommend anything for zoom quality?
So each phone has different zoom settings depending on their lens, and I break down in that top 20 list. Here's what this camera, how far it can zoom in. Some can do 5x. Many do just 2x or 3x. The other issue is stabilization. Most of us are going to pull up and we're going to hold our phone by hand while we're doing that, and that's going to bring in a lot of handshake because we're human. So some cell phones have optical stabilization where the lens will actually move in conjunction with your hand movement so that we'll try and keep it as steady as possible. Some have sensors that the sensor will move with handshake to try and minimize it. There's a couple different settings in Blackmagic where you can make the choices on how much stabilization you want to have. And then if you want to go even above and beyond that, you could go ahead and buy like one of the DJI cell phone stabilizing handheld units, which will attach to your phone, and then it will smooth that all out so you won't have the handshake. I actually have a section towards the back where if you want to up your game, here are some different accessories that you could buy for your phone to enhance it even more.
What about purchasing a gimbal? You recommend that?
Yeah, that's what I mean. The DJI gimbal, that's one option. So for instance, your iPhone 15 probably doesn't have the optical lens stabilizer, but if you have a gimbal, you can attach it to that and that will just smooth it right out.
Yeah, I just recently purchased a gimbal myself, and I'm just trying to figure it out, because it does take some getting used to, because you're so used to trying to move those use your arms and your hands in order to get those angles and everything, rather than just using the gimbal in your hand, which makes life much easier.
Mm-hmm. I also have there's a camera. If you want to go outside your smartphone, there's a few other additional options in there. It's called the Dwarf 3 camera. And it's basically a camera that it's a full stable camera, not a smartphone. So this is a completely separate camera that you would attach to a tripod. And it's really designed to take deep space footage. So long exposure shots where you can get constellations and galaxies, nebula, things like that. Because it has a wide angle lens for viewing the whole sky or most of the sky, but it has a telephoto zoom lens built into it as well. And when they built the Dwarf 3, they also included in a UAP setting so that you could tap the UAP function and have it track an object moving across the sky with its telephoto zoom lens. And that particular device you can get for a reasonable $550 or so, if you wanted to go that route.
We have 4.5 minutes to go before we go to break at the bottom of the hour. Author and researcher Geo Turner is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. What about using cameras or investing in something like a psionics camera?
A psionics, I've vaguely heard that referenced before. Is that like a night scope camera?
One, but I know people in the UFO industry who swear by them.
I'm sorry, you cut out for part of that. Is it a smartphone?
I know people. I've never used one personally. It's almost like a monocle or a,
oh, okay, yeah,
right.
So yeah, I do have some of the accessories I do recommend are.
Sorry, go ahead.
I do recommend in some of the accessories. There's even infrared cameras that I'm recommending if you want to try and record your UAP that way, because some UAP actually only appear in infrared. And so there are some that are just basically over enhanced regular CMOS chips, which is basically like my night vision scope that I use to record the sky. It's just an over enhanced CMOS chip where it's still relying mainly on optical light, but it's just like tuned for the night sky. But they do make true thermal cameras that look for heat signatures. And for those, especially like hunters out there, some of those scopes have also decent quality, not 4K footage, but you can still get like 720 or even 1080i footage out of those. And if you're looking at heat signatures, you're going to be able to pick those out separate from other objects in the sky.
When you are out there filming, is there a certain time you recommend to people? We talked about night shots, we talked about day shots, but you know, is dusk or morning or dead at night after the sun goes down by a couple of hours? Is there a difference in the shooting at that point, trying to look for the objects?
I wouldn't know about that since I have never actually seen one myself. But I understand just discussing things with other experiencers that around 11 minutes after 3 a.m. seems to be a call time for many experiencers, I understand. So if you want to stay up late, maybe that might enhance your odds.
"90 seconds to go. Want to sneak in one more question. What about using or the help or guidance of flight tracking radar or apps as well? Would that?
Actually, yeah, there's I have a chapter on where to take your footage once you record it. And one of the apps that's intrigued me is called Enigma app. And they don't have a camera portion of their app just yet. But once they do, I would probably lean towards using that instead of the Blackmagic. But I haven't examined it yet to be able to tell you if I could recommend it just yet. But the amazing part about Enigma, when they do have their app available, is it will have a heads-up display built into it, where while you're up recording your thing, if you happen to be recording a UAP that you think's a UAP, but it's flight 1029, it will highlight it and it will let you know what flight it is.
That always makes it fun. Because, I mean, if you're able to tell, you know, and most people aren't. Most people, you know, look off in the distance, they see a shiny bright light that looks like it's barely moving. It's because the airplane is so far away.
And just think about all those drone sightings that have been happening in restricted airspaces. I'm sure those won't come up on the heads-up display if they're, you know, something covert.
No, that's very true. That's very true. There have been times where, I've tried tracking aircraft that are flying over here, and they just never seem to be on the flight radar. My feeling is they're probably military heading up to Alaska,
Yep.
because Lord knows it ain't Canadian geese. Our Canadian geese are, are pretty low until it's down to flight time down south. Geo Turner, we're taking audience questions next on Spaced Out
Awesome.
Radio.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott.
All right, my friend, we are clear.
Okay. Yeah, I would the first thing I always look for is the red and green running lights on either end of a airliner or even drones. Though I understand some of these anomalous drones also have been sporting red and green lights, but they aren't always in the right place. So there's some question as to whether or not UAP are trying to mimic our drones.
I often wonder.
It's that whole trickster element to it.
Are you talking what we saw in New Jersey?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Are you talking like what we saw in New Jersey?
Yes, most definitely. I mean, some of those clips I saw, that was like the shape of the drone kept changing as the lights were moving around. I was like, whoa, 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 whoa. My drone doesn't do that.
Very true. I have to learn I bought my son a drone for Christmas a couple years ago. And my boy just right now, at least, doesn't seem to really be interested in doing anything with it. So I'm going to try and figure it out here pretty quick to see, because it would work perfectly in a couple of spots that I have.
It's always good to have, especially if you're out in the woods and you, like, I'm just hiking around here in Hawaii, and there's so many times like, ooh, I wonder what that opening is up in the side of that mountain. I wish I had my drone with me. I could fly up there and see it.
Yeah, that would be cool. All right, we got about 3 minutes.
Okay. I apologize. I'm still coming off the tail end of a cold.
Oh, that's okay. Not the first time.
We still get colds in Hawaii.
I don't believe it, but we'll take your word for it.
Yeah, all that stuff about not going outside with wet hair in the cold, that you can have wet anything, you'll still get a cold here.
I'm thawed out now, so everything's cold when the temperature goes down.
Mm-hmm.
Like around wintertime here, when you kind of graduate into winter here. So when it's, first starts getting to the level of freezing, you're like, oh, that's kind of brisk. And then all of a sudden, it gets to minus 10 Celsius, minus 15 Celsius. And you're like, oh, this is cold. And it warms up a little bit, and then it gets cold again. But it gets a little colder, and you start getting used to it, to the point where all of a sudden you're like, it's minus 10, minus 12 Celsius out.
Do you ever get blizzards?
Yeah. Yeah, we had a blizzard here a couple of weeks ago.
The last time I saw a blizzard was in like I want to say 1976 in Cincinnati. It's like global warming's been happening down there ever since. And now it's like my hometown maybe gets snow a few times a year now.
Yeah. Yeah, up here it's we usually get an accumulation 4 to 6 feet a year. but it
Oof,
comes
yeah.
it comes in stages though. Like it's not all at once. Like you see these giant mounds of snow like you do on the East Coast. It's not like that.
All right.
It
Yeah,
comes.
I just, when I was a kid, I just thought it was so cool that it was so white out that I could barely see my hands.
Yeah, those days are cool. I like those days. I like those days. Those days are fun.
My kids are so jealous. It's like, well, I wish we got snow days. Stay home from
Right.
school.
All right, we got 25 seconds. Thank you to T-Bone and Mickey for the super chat. If you have any questions for G.O., please put them in capital letters. I will get to them in the next half an hour on the next segment of the show. Shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. There's nothing ugly there, people. You can make yourself look good by wearing our swag. Trust me, I wear it, and it's good. Here we go. We're into the second half of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Geo Turner, author, researcher, scientist into the UFO phenomena, is here with us. So we're going to get to him right off the bat. Geo, tell everybody where they can find your books.
Oh, so for the most part, the paperbacks are released wide. So you could get it at Amazon or Barnes and Nobles or Google, so on and so forth. The great part about the Beginner's Field Guide to Skywatching is if you want to get it in paperback, you can go ahead and buy it on Amazon. That way you can have a copy in your back pocket handy when you want it. But otherwise, you could also just download the ebook from my website for free. So I just want people to be able to go out and make better videos and share them with all of us. So my website is alittlevaststudios.com/UFO science.
That's perfect. That is perfect. I do have a question before we get to audience questions here. You've also written a book about crop circles.
Yes.
What's your thoughts on crop circles?
Oh, wow. The reason I really delved into crop circles was because it is a physically tangible subject that can be studied. And I could objectively look at all the different kinds of crop circles and the statistics on them. And I worked out several different charts, and it was really a fascinating subject. I walked into crop circles probably with the same kind of assumptions that most people have. When you see like the galaxy crop circle, which has like 409 circles made in one night, I'm like, no way a human built that in one night. There's just so many circles, 409, and they're huge. And they all seem so symmetrical and clean. So I delved right in and I started doing all kinds of studies. I'll show you here, like here is just a quick reference chart. It's showing the distribution of crop circles around the world based on country. And you'll notice here, the big red block, that's just in the United Kingdom alone. So almost half of all crop circles are done just in the UK. And then I could break down all the different, I came up with a mathematical computation formula for determining how many man hours it takes to create a particular crop circle, and broke that down. And I have it in the book where you can see the formula and work them out for yourself to see what's possible and what isn't.
That's great. Nicole wants to know, have you ever visited any crop circle sites?
Yes, during the study for this, I went up to the southern UK region around Stonehenge and met with some local professional crop circle makers and learned some of their craft. So I could, honestly, some of them are clearly man-made and they're just mind-blowingly good. So that in and of itself is worth study. But then there's also the my top picks. I have a chapter in there for the most intriguing, potentially NHI circles in there.
What do you think the percentage is of them being man-made and them being from some other type of technology?
Oh, I would have to guess the vast majority is man-made. You can look at the statistics over the years where you can see a real a curve where it just became so hugely popular. And then now in the last decade or so, it's kind of died off in popularity because most people have reached the conclusion that, oh, it's all man-made. And if that's your field of, if that's what your thinking is, then that's fine too. But honestly, if you dive in deeper, you'll see there are some in there that are definitely worth digging around and learning more.
For those that are not man-made, what do you think they are? Do you think they're some sort of geometry? Do you think there's some sort of mapping?
I do talk about in the conclusion of the book, if there's a hidden message in there, we're spending so much time trying to suss out what is and isn't. Usually the ones with hidden messages, those are actually the man-made ones. So when you have like Anunnaki messages and particularly where they use ASCII computer code, yeah, those are the guys having fun with everyone. But if nothing else, I do believe that the NHI that do interact with us, they tend to do it with a sense of humor.
What do you mean by sense of humor?
It's more trickster. It's more, they like having fun playing with us simple primates, I guess. So leave everyone there scratching their head about how that was done.
The ones that you saw that were real, did they affect you in any way?
I can't honestly, so what I do with my UFO science books is I present the data. I let my readers see everything as it is presented and decide for themselves. I really don't say, well, this one for sure was NHI and that one wasn't. But I do say here are some that are the most intriguing and most potentially NHI. For instance, there was this, I want to say Golden Ball Hill was the name of it, but it was basically a crop circle that was done in rapeseed oil, or what we in the States would call canola oil. And that is a type of crop that is very stiff green stalks that once these yellow flowers bloom in it, you're able to flatten it out. If you try and layer out the crops before those flowers bloom, the stalks will break like celery. So you cannot do it until they flower. And this particular one was done so intricately and so uniformly. And the most stunning part about it was when you looked at the flowers afterwards, none of the flowers were damaged. So if you were using the typical rope and board method of stomping, that would crush and wreck the flowers. And to prove that point, 10 years after this particular crop circle was formed, this same group of professional crop circle makers that I conversed with attempted to recreate the same crop in the same kind of field. And you could clearly see the wrecked flowers in their version. It still looked symmetrical like the original, but there was a distinct difference between the two. Was
the smell different? Was the radiation different?
Some crop circles, there is the understanding that microwave radiation was used to basically steam the base of the stalks so that they would become heated, and then the knuckles would give out and fall over and often would burst from the heat radiation. And some witnesses have actually said that they've noticed that when the crop circle formed, a light mist rising off of the crop. And there was an interesting study done by MIT students where they attempted to recreate by building their own microwave emitter. And they had a lot of flawed methods to their recreation. And in the end, they didn't end up using their microwave device. They still ended up relying on the ropes and boards. And they congratulated themselves and patted themselves on the back for recreating a crop circle, even though they failed at all of their experimental requirements.
Right. Nicole has another follow-up question for you on that. And that is, have you followed any of the researchers that make the 3D renderings and build them?
3D renderings? Oh, right. Yes, there's a gentleman that takes the crop circle two-dimensional image of a crop, and he does like 3D spins and believes that these can be used as some kind of blueprints for technical devices. I did not meet with that individual to look behind the engine to see where he was heading with that. But yeah, that would be an interesting person to talk to.
All right, let's move on to another question here. Let's go over to Shane here, who is asking, Geo, in your opinion, what is the relationship between UFOs and Sasquatch, if you think there is one?
That's just boils back to the high strangeness there, Dave. It's like, so I'm working on a book for NHI right now. And one aspect of the whole phenomena, even Dr. Nolan would talk about, is how it appears that we are kind of undergoing our own mirror test. So behavioral psychologists can take a nice clean mirror and they'll put it out in the forest and they'll hide a camera somewhere and then just study the local mammals and wildlife that encounter the mirror and determine how many mammals are able to determine that it's their own reflection as opposed to a rival animal and how they react to it. So, and it really teaches us how cerebral some animals are. Like the mirror test when performed on elephants, for example, if you paint a little red X on the side of the elephant and then they walk in front of the mirror, they will not get confused and they will actually touch their own face, realizing it is their reflection and not just another elephant because they're looking for that red X. So in some way, this high strangeness is being presented to us as a Homo sapien mirror test. That's my best guess, in that we are being shown something to see if we can respond to it in a way that shows we have reached a certain level of cerebral elevation, I guess. So how strange and how unusual, what are we seeing that's behind the curtain somehow?
I get that. I can appreciate that. All right, let's go to another question here. This one coming from T-Bone, lives in British Columbia. If the UFO craft are nuts and bolts, are the aliens flesh and blood?
They could honestly be both. So if the crafts are nuts and bolts, then I would, of course, lean towards probably humans are behind that, and it's our own crew. But at the same time, non-human intelligence could evolve or could potentially be organically manufactured. So I've definitely seen reports where potential autopsies were performed and that some of these grays seem to be like, for instance, many UAP are described as being built to task. So the UAP you encounter might just be temporarily created just for that one purpose, and then brought back to whatever mothership and repurposed for something else. And potentially these some grays are grown or manufactured organically to function certain ways, and their internal organs are limited to just what is required for that purpose.
Let's have a follow-up from T-Bone here. What, in your opinion, then, are the orbs?
Even NASA has come out to say that they have seen some cases where plasma in high altitude, like near orbit levels, they've documented plasma behaving in almost biological, organic ways, where they seem to, like amoeba, get attracted to other forms of energy and consume them. So there's definitely, even NASA realizes there's something potentially going on there. It's possible that plasma could, in its enhanced state, form some kind of sentience. And it would be interesting for a high energy particle physicist to potentially study something like that.
Do you think that orbs are some sort of space dust? Or, like I've seen pictures of orbs that, I mean, it could be everything from raindrops to dust particles to bugs flying around after a hatch. Mm-hmm. Okay. What do you think the most logical explanation is for orbs, say, on the ground compared to orbs that are in the sky?
Well, I did cover like ball lightning in one of my books, which is an extremely rare natural phenomena. You're actually more likely to see a UAP than you are to see ball lightning. But outside of that, honestly, if I could ever meet Bob Lazar, I would like to ask him a question about his sport model and why it looks one way during the daytime, but at nighttime is a big glowing ball of light. What he thinks might be the reason why is that something where they just dial up the brightness on it or something? And then I've definitely heard of encounters where beings will emerge out of these balls of light temporarily and present themselves to experiencers. So I've also heard cases where the mantid NHI species might potentially be plasma-based, but then they create these physical forms so that they could interact with us. So I try to keep an open mind and just stay skeptical at the same time.
I just watched that new Bob Lazar movie, S4.
I did as well.
I really liked it. I really, really liked it. It had me captivated from start to finish. And of course, when you've heard enough Bob Lazar stories over the years, everything kind of looks the same. But the way they got into the detailed crap, but there was one part in there that really, really just made me sit up in my chair. And that's when they took out the Google images of the S4 on base at Papoose Lake, where they actually pixelated it or did something with the focus or the aperture where they changed color of it. And you actually could see the slots of the buildings on the side.
So that's a little bit of a misconception. What they actually had was someone got permission to fly their plane through Area 51 at a great range of distance.
Yes.
So this pilot flew his plane for whatever reason. He got permission to enter, but he was 17 miles from S4. But he also had one of these mega mondo lenses, telephoto lenses, and he zoomed in there and he did his best to record shots of that area. And then they were able to play with the contrast and enhance the photo to the point where you could just make out the edges of the hangar doors.
Yeah, that was the one that was kind of a little bit of a reality to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I really highly suggest it costs $14 Canadian. So that's about $3 American. I don't know what the exchange is right now. $10
Or you
American.
can rent it for $10.
Yeah. And well worth it. Well worth it to check it on out, because I think it is something that is, if you wonder about the cover up of this story, that was a big one for me. It really was a big one.
I say when it comes to the topic of Bob Lazar, he's such a controversial character that it's very easy to dismiss him as a person. Most kind of attacks that are made against him are personal attacks. And I say, ignore all of the stuff about Bob the person. What did Bob say? What is the science behind what Bob is presenting? And then see for yourself. I have a couple chapters of that in my first book. And I dive pretty deep into the mechanics of element 115 and the engine and how it all comes together and works. And it's interesting science there. I'm not saying I honestly, I believe Bob, but like Eric Weinstein, I think some things that Bob is presenting is to the best of his abilities.
Do you think
the science might actually.
Do you think he's telling the truth?
Yes, I think he is telling the truth overall about what happened. He's withholding some things and keeping some things to himself, but for sure, I'm confident he was there at S4.
I'm more than confident now. I got to talk to him once on my birthday a couple of years ago. Jim Goodall, legendary aviation historian, and he's in the Aviation Hall of Fame for the United States. He's a good friend of mine, and he's a good friend of Bob's as well. And I ended up calling Jim to see how his time after he left us in Vegas in 2025, he was driving up to Bob Lazar's. So I called him up and I'm like, hey, how was your trip to Bob's? He's like, I'm still here. I'm like, what? He goes, yeah, I'm still here. I said, well, Jim, it's my birthday. I would love to say hello to Bob. He's like, I can do that. And he goes, hey, he says, hey, Bob, it's my friend Dave from Spaced Out Radio. It's his birthday. Out with you. So I got about 5-10 minutes on the phone with Bob. Just a pleasant guy, man. Pleasant guy.
Yeah, and if you watch the documentary, you'll see while he's a smart man, he's also just an everyman. And I also found his wife to be pretty laid back as well. So I don't detect the BS so much from Bob. You either believe him or you don't. Bob doesn't care one way or the other.
That I would agree with. We got about 2 minutes to go. Let's see if we can sneak in about one or two more questions here. All right. Let us start off with Paramarv here. Gio, are you familiar with the rods that were reported by Jose Escamilla? They're like these rods with like fluttering feathers on them.
I have never heard of that one before. That's a first time for me.
You have to look them up on YouTube. They're
Is this a recent thing?
Looking. I'm sorry?
Is this a recent encounter?
No, it's been going on for a number of years.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, they just seem to be filmed everywhere and nowhere at the same time. It's very cool. Very cool. All right, let's finish it off with T-Bone again. What do you think of the Kumbaras UFO in Turkey, the Turkey UFO where the disc is there? They seem to see the two aliens inside. What's your thoughts on that video?
If only they had a better camera at the time. Because, yeah, that was really intriguing. And you could see the movement happening in that little window. So, yeah, I actually think back, and I mentioned this in the field guide, there was this saucer that was filmed in Costa Rica, I want to say in 2006. I might be off on the year. But this carpenter, construction worker, was just in Costa Rica, and he looked over and he saw a flying saucer just across the field from himself. And he reached in and he grabbed out his razor phone, flipped it open and recorded the video. And you see the UFO just like doing its little wobble, and then it flips over and zips out really fast. It's a really interesting piece of footage. I'm like, oh my God, if only that was with the smartphone camera.
Geo Turner, thank you for being on Spaced Out Radio tonight. What a pleasure to have you. Coming up in hour number 3, Swamp Dweller and UFO Max.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott.
Great job tonight, buddy. Thank you.
Thank you.
That was a lot
I
of
had
fun.
a great time.
Love it. Love it. We'll do it again.
Hopefully we get some videos that I can share next time.
Absolutely. Look forward to it. You enjoy your evening.
All right. Have
Take
a great
care.
one.
Geo Turner, everybody. We'll be right back. right. I am in. And let's bring Grantavius into the studio. How you doing, buddy?
Good, brother. How you doing?
Good. You feeling better?
I'm getting there.
You're looking a little pale.
Yeah. It's just once I'm done with this, I'm gonna just go steam. Use that face steamer thing for about 10 minutes. That should clear me up pretty good for the night.
Well, that's good.
Yeah. How do you like your straws?
I'm sorry?
How'd you like your straws?
I haven't picked them up yet.
Come on, man. You go down to your
It was
PO
a
box.
long weekend. Everything was closed.
All
I
I
got to
hear
go
is
tomorrow.
excuses.
I know. I'm a jerk. We got 1 minute to go.
All right.
Thank you, T-Bone. Thank you, Mickey, for the super chats. T-Bone, thank you for gifting a membership tonight. Greatly appreciate you, my friend. Nicole says kryptonite has you under the weather.
You would know.
Uh-huh.
I love her. She's awesome.
All right. $20 seconds. 15. Swamp Dweller is about just a hair under 3 minutes, buddy. Here we go. We are into the third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you very much for joining us as we get ready for Swamp Dweller, as well as our good friend Grant Baker on UFO Max, the UFO Report. We greatly appreciate that. Hey, we want to say hello to all of you listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. You can follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Vaticinate. Vaticinate is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Let's head to the swamp.
Hello and welcome to Spaced Out Radio's Swamp. I'm Swamp Dweller, and tonight I'm going to take you on a mystic journey of the unknown, sharing tales of monsters, legends, and nightmares. Welcome to the Spaced Out Radio Swamp. I grew up and live and work in a small town in northern Florida. We have a decent-sized population of Native Americans who live in the east part of our town, though I am not sure if there's a reserve out that way or not. We have Native American gatherings 4 times a year that is open to all, so I grew up going to them and listening to their stories. I also listened to my grandmother tell me the same stories since her first husband told them to her. I am not super informed, but I know enough to know skinwalkers are the real deal. I work at a Waffle House in this said town during the night shift, 9 p.m. to 7 a.m., and I have experienced some weird things to say the least. I am currently about 3 hours into my shift, and to say this noise outside is strange is an understatement. This town is on lockdown still due to COVID and the hurricane, so no one is out on the street. Barely any cars are on the road, and barely any customers come in either. To set this up, my Waffle House is on the main highway. There is a few shops across the street, a small shop to our left, and nothing to our right. Just a small road and a small empty field. Behind us is pure woods for a good half mile before it's a few houses, but not many. Like I said, it's a small town. I am sitting outside on a smoke break right now, and there is this sound that's coming from a small patch of woods directly across the street, separating a few of the shops. It sounded at first like something I could not identify, then changed into what sounded like a person imitating a monkey, then a person imitating a dog barking and back and forth, changing every few seconds or minute or so. Not loud enough to sound like it was an actual animal, but something just being quiet enough to get my attention with it. I just went inside to help someone and came back out. It had stopped for a few minutes while the cook was outside with me, but it started up again, now having an odd call mixed in with it, almost like an incredibly quiet, spaced out car alarm. It goes single dog bark, monkey sound, car alarm, all sounding like a mix between a person and an animal. Whatever is doing it is definitely doing it to get my attention. It is raspy and right across the street, but if there were any of those things there, they would be much louder. I keep thinking I am seeing things moving over there, and the sounds are getting louder and louder and sounding more desperate for my attention. At this point, it is just the car alarm sound. It really does sound like a raspy voice imitating it. If the cook were not right around the back, I would have been freaking out much, much more. Can you guys please tell me if you think this was a skinwalker? If you guys think it is, I am definitely transferring Waffle Houses. I'm not even joking.
Thank you, Swampy, for another screaming story. If you want more just like that, head on over to YouTube, type in Swamp Dweller, hit subscribe, ring that bell. Thousands of stories for you to listen to each and every night, so make sure you check them on out. Time for the UFO report.
In the sky, cleanse out the stories breaking through. What hidden now comes into view. From distant lights to secret files, mystery shots. Revealed, every signal slowly peeled. So tune in close, don't miss the facts. UFO facts, we've got your backs. Becomes a song.
All right, UFO Max, Grant Baker, how you doing, buddy?
Good, man. I just got to say, I love that song. Thank you for making that. That thing makes me smile every time I hear it.
No problem, buddy. No problem. You needed a theme song. So that's what we did. You needed a theme song. So it's all good. You know, we start off with some very sad news because the UFO world has learned that one of its best assets has passed away. Now, it was just over a month ago that Nick Pope announced that he had stopped treatments that he had at a very aggressive form of cancer, and that there was just no help. He had succumbed to the fact that he asked people on his X account, don't try to give me advice. I've talked to all the best professionals. I'm done. And we found out that unfortunately cancer has claimed one of the biggest stars in ufology the last couple of decades in Nick Pope. And it really does leave a hole in what we do because, you know, whether you agreed with him or not, he was one of the faces of the franchise. Okay. He was on all the news channels, whether it was Newsmax, whether it was Fox, CNN, being quoted in newspapers all around the world, the BBC, the CBC in Canada. He was literally everywhere, being a commentator and an expert on this field. He spoke at many, many conferences. Unfortunately, we never had a chance to get him on this show, but it wasn't for a lack of trying. I could tell you that. You know, just his schedule just never seemed to make ours. So, I mean, it does happen at times, but for people who don't know who he is, you might have seen him on television shows such as Ancient Aliens. There are plenty of documentaries on UFOs that he has appeared in. And just read a little bit. Nick Pope is one of the world's most recognized voices in UFO and UAP research, best known for his work with the United Kingdom's Ministry of Defense, serving from 1985 to 2006. Pope's most notable role came between 1991 and 1994, when he was assigned to the government's UFO desk, where he investigated hundreds of unexplained aerial sightings to assess potential threats to national security and aviation safety. His insider experience and analysis reading world cases, some of which remain unexplained, has him as a leading authority on the global UFO phenomena. And today, that unfortunately has been silenced. His wife is just heartbroken. She put out a very, very sad tweet on X earlier today. And, I just feel for him. So his wife, Elizabeth, says, she posts a picture of her and Nick, says, "My heart is breaking. Nick passed away this afternoon at our home. The last few weeks of his life, even as he suffered, he managed to do a few interviews from home. I was so lucky to have met and to have married Nick. He was a wonderful husband. I loved him." That's really one of the best tributes you could give a person right there.
Absolutely. It's a hard loss. It's hard one for all of us to swallow.
It really is. And to top it all off with that, just a few days ago, Edgar Casey passed away. And I don't know if it's a Mandela effect or not, but I thought he died years ago.
Which Edward Casey are we talking about?
He was referred to as the sleeping prophet.
I thought he died in 45.
Or maybe well, they said Edgar Casey. Who the heck died? Somebody else passed away. A big name.
Yeah, so Edgar Casey, the sleeping prophet,
he died a long time ago.
Yeah, he was born in the 1800s.
Yeah, 1877. Never mind. There was somebody else who passed away. Oh man.
Getting back to Pope, like you're saying, there was a lot of people that took him.
Sorry, thank you, Jules, in our chat room. It was Ed Dames.
Ed Dames, okay. Yeah, we when it comes to Nick, there was a lot of people that were on the fence with him. Some liked him, some didn't. He was vetted. I mean, Ministry of Defense. He's been in the field a long time, and he used a very analytical way of looking at everything that came across his desk, and I mean everything. There was 12,000, files that when he showed up, and he had to sort through all those. I mean, the guy, Rendlesham Forest, is on his tickets of what he had gone into, and he couldn't even solve that one. And we need someone like that, we need someone that had his analytical thinking. And there was a lot of things where people, it's birds or whatever. But he would be like, hey, this is the proof I got. And he would do the deep dive research. And, it's upsetting that we lost somebody of his caliber, to be honest with you.
The one thing that I was critical of with Nick Pope, and we'll get into Ed Dames in a second, was here is a guy who worked the circuit. He worked in a governmental position for this. And he never, in my opinion, brought that to his, when he was brought in as an analyst for Fox News or CNN or whatever, he repeated what everybody else was saying, whether it was Lou Elizondo or Chris Mellon or whoever. And I'm like, damn it, Nick, I want you to say what you think. You're so smart in this topic. Don't give me what Elizondo is saying. Don't give me what Mellon is saying. Don't give me what Tom DeLonge is saying. Don't give me what anybody else is saying. I want to know what Nick Pope is thinking right now. Okay? Let's have an original thought here. But that's just journalism critiquing there. Okay? I mean, he got paid because he was a smart man and he was eloquent. And of course, every time you have somebody speaking in a British accent, it just sounds so much more professional. It really does for some reason, but I mean, to people who knew him, and I've talked to a number of people who've known him, they said that he was just the nicest guy. Just the nicest guy. Like when he would go to a conference, he wouldn't just walk by people just to, I've seen people, man, at conferences, and I'm not going to name names, but they will literally ignore the public who paid for their tickets to see them speak. And afterwards, it's like, okay, I got to get out of here. Otherwise, I'm going to be mobbed. I don't want that. And then, nothing. You can't get a photo with them. You can't get an autograph. You can't get a picture or even to say hello, thank you for what you do. Can't do that. They disappear. Nick Pope wasn't like that. From everybody who I've talked to, he was somebody where if you walked up to him, he would give you time. That says a lot about a person.
And it shows all the pictures that once you get on any kind of social media site, whichever one you guys use, you can get on X or Instagram or Facebook and just type in Nick Pope, and you'll start seeing a lot of people. In fact, he had a picture on there where he was with another gentleman, and they were getting rabbit ears behind it, and just very jovial, very personable person, and present, like you're saying, where he took the time and consideration of others, and wasn't overly boastful about it. Like, just a solid dude. Just a solid dude.
Absolutely. And Ed Dames passed away a couple weeks ago. I said Edgar Casey. He died in like 1948. But Ed Dames was somebody who was a former U.S. Army intelligence officer, best known for his remote viewing prowess and programs during the Cold War as a participant in the classification of the Project Stargate. Dames was trained in controlled remote viewing techniques, methods said to allow individuals to perceive distant or unseen targets using extrasensory perception, or ESP. Rising to the rank of major, he later became one of the most outspoken figures connected to the program, claiming that remote viewing was successfully used for intelligence gathering, including tracking targets, locating missing persons, and probing extraterrestrial activity. After leaving the military, Dames founded the SciTech and began teaching remote viewing to civilians while making numerous media appearances discussing future predictions, global events, and alien presence. And he is being a frequent guest on radio shows, documentaries, gaining both a strong following and criticism for some of his controversial forecasts. Despite skepticism from the scientific community, Ed Dames remained a prominent and polarizing voice in the world of psychic phenomena, remote viewing, and the ongoing debate over the limits of human consciousness. Your thoughts, Grant?
Yeah, that's another hard blow. When it comes to the remote viewing, I did a really large deep dive in that, and so Ed Dames actually knew Ingo Swann. So when you start listening to people like Hal Puthoff and all that, where they're talking about Ingo Swann and his ability to mess with the internal sensor of a computer that no vibration could even touch, and he was able to alter the inputs and outputs of that. And Ed Dames was right underneath him. I mean, the guy went on, just like you said, he went on coast to coast a whole bunch of times, and he was teaching thousands of people to do this. And he's kind of given us a glimpse into the other side, so to speak, of what and how this works, especially when you know the history of how people say this works. And he was a voice to be reckoned with. I mean, being on coast to coast over 100 times, the guy had presence. And another one, we're losing some of our abilities here in these people, like when they're leaving us. And in this particular case, being somebody that was as outspoken as he was about extraterrestrials, not just predictions, but hey, this is what's around us. This is who we have, which I'm totally into, which is the reason why I got into remote viewing. I wanted to see what it was all about. And he was also on the basically on the panel of saying that everybody has the ability. It's just like everybody can play basketball, just some are better than others at it.
Oh, I'm terrible at basketball.
Oh, I know. Me too. Don't even get me started.
Absolutely terrible. Well, let's move on here because we have a couple of real important topics to discuss. Namely, Matt Gaetz, former congressman who recently on the Benny Johnson podcast, and then again this past weekend with Walter M. Sterling, who is a friend of mine in radio on WABC and WPHT in Philadelphia, along with a network show on the network last night. Actually, right before Walter brought me on, he had Matt Gaetz on about this incredibly scary story where apparently the United States military has up to 14 bases, Grant, where they have captured aliens and they are hybridizing them with humans.
Mhm.
Now, there's some controversy of whether or not these humans have volunteered for this, but there's also, according to Gaetz, that these people were taken, allegedly, from third world countries, from war-torn countries, and people who are destitute, alone, not much going for them. And they were put into these programs to try and procreate some sort of alien hybrid humanoid. And the
Yeah.
sense was that they are doing it to try and better communicate with ET species in helping humans as well as helping communicate with those far off in the galaxy. Now, if this story is 1% true, this is bloody scary. And, you know, a lot of people will say, hey, Dave, or you guys, you're into all that weird stuff. Yeah, we have heard about alien abductions. We have heard about women having, you know, pregnancies, you know, testing positive for pregnancy on a pregnancy test. Okay, going to their doctors, getting it confirmed that they're pregnant. And then 3-4 months later, there's no fetus in the womb. It is gone. And there's been no nothing wrong with the woman. She hasn't you know, aborted it. She has not had any sort of complications. Nothing. It just vanished, Grant, into thin air. We also know that for men's sperm, this is where we go to the Whitley Strieber story, the one we all make fun of, about the anal probing, where allegedly the aliens go in, you know, they tickle the old prostate there, and when the man ejaculates, they take the sperm. And that is how they get the female eggs. That is how they get the male sperm. Somehow they're able to put their own DNA in there for a hybridized child. And apparently, this has been going on for a while. In fact, the person who tipped Matt Gaetz off to this was a current member of the United States Army, an enlisted man, a uniformed enlisted man, is how he described him. And from that point, this guy said, you need to put people at all 14 bases at once. So that way they cannot hide any of these people or move them base to base. What do you think about this, Grant? This is crazy.
It is. I've heard of it before, though. So there was plenty of stories going around. In fact, I've watched interviews with certain women that have gone public with what had happened to them, where they become unnaturally fertile and pregnant, and then they lose their baby, and then they realize, and some under, you know, when you go under and you
go under hypnosis for regression.
hypnosis, yeah, and then that's when they find out what happened. Some of these women actually reported that they were again taken and brought to the ship to see their offspring, who grows unnaturally fast. It was only 9 months ago, and now we have a 6-year-old child sitting in front of us, or a 3-year-old, and they get
Hold
told
that
that.
thought. We're going to continue this conversation when we return on Spaced Out Radio.
This is Spaced Out Radio. Your host, Dave Scott.
All right, we're clear, dude.
It's kind of weird that all four of these people we're talking about all four of them at one shot right now, because there's a link between all four of them. Nick, Ed, Edgar Casey, and Matt Gates. Yeah, follow that rabbit trail.
It's crazy.
Oh, it gets wild.
Crazy.
Some of this is just bizarre. Did you see that Joe Rogan Experience number 2479, Bob Lazar, Luigi Venatelli?
Yeah, we'll get into that next. Got to get Luigi back on the show here.
Yeah, I haven't watched it yet. I popped up. I finally got time tonight to start searching for it, and I found it, and I was like, okay. Oh, after the show, I'll watch it. $3 long. Holy mackerel. I'm going to be up for a while.
I love it when weird things pop up in my feed. They do.
Oh, yeah.
So, 10 wildest names in sports history. Number 1, Kyle Sackrider of the Michigan State Spartans. Number 2, of the Washington Bullets. That's going back a while. Chubby Cox. Number 3, Kansas City Royals, Rusty Kuntz. Spelled with a K.
Yeah.
Number 4, from China, Dong Dong. Former Philadelphia or Pittsburgh Pirate, Johnny Dickshot.
Oh, my God.
Former St. Louis Cardinal, Stubby Clapp. Former NIU, Luscious Poussey.
Who? Why? What parents are these?
These are the wildest names in sports. Former NHL goalie, Ron Tugnut.
Dude, the bullying must have been hard in school.
I don't know how real this one is, but an athlete from France, Steve Hoyufat. And former San Francisco Giant, Cannonball Titcomb. I would also like to add in a couple of hockey players in there. Corey Pecker, Luca Conti. That's probably one of my favorites. Roman Hammerlick. How that one didn't make it, I don't know. Roman Hammerlick. Dick Duff. Pat Regalado. How are you? I keep butchering your name. I'm sorry. Pat Regalado.
Oh, no way.
What?
I'm just reading the splurb on this, and they actually did a VR for the sports model. I want to go.
Dude, it was pretty cool. Like I said, I watched it, man. I watched it. It was
I
good.
gotta buy it. Where's it streaming at?
It's on Amazon.
Okay, I got that.
Well worth it. Well worth it. We have 45 seconds. Thank you, T-Bone. Thank you, JSCO. Thank you, Mickey, for the super chats. We greatly appreciate your love and support, everybody. We got 20 seconds.
Dude, yeah, this is gonna be a fun topic.
Oh, yeah. It'll be good. Here we go. Final half hour of Spaced Out Radio, the UFO report with Grant Baker continues. We're talking about this weird story, courtesy of Matt Gaetz, the former congressman, who says that he was told while in Congress that the United States has aliens and they are hybridizing them with humans. And right before the break, Grant, you were making a comment about the hybridization program.
Yeah, so the women that were in that program where they got taken, some of them were actually taken aboard the craft, and then they would be reunited with these unborn. Well, to them, they didn't know that these children were even alive, and then they were reunited with their children, so to speak. Some of them had very bizarre stories of what these children look like: bigger eyes, a little bit bigger head, very soft toned skin, much older than they should have been. And it just runs the gambit, and every one of them has very similar stories, or the few that actually do talk about this. The fact that they're taking people from, like you're saying, war zones and caravans, and they're taking people that are not in the limelight. And what's really interesting is all this ties into the Akashic records and remote viewing, because when you're trying to communicate faster than light, or within your head across vast spans like the universe itself, instant communication, that's where a lot of these people, like even Dames, he was talking about it, where that's kind of what you're doing, is you're avoiding time and space and just going directly to what you want to do. And it seems like the military has figured out, or whoever is doing this has figured out, that we need that capability, maybe, and then going in and trying to reverse engineer the DNA and figuring out how to get to that point, like a kind of like a superhuman, almost a genetically evolved. I don't know if you'd put evolved, I guess, just genetically made superhuman. It's a story that goes back quite a ways.
Either way, okay, whatever they are doing it for, dude, this should scare the hell out of people. If this is allegedly true, that they are kidnapping people, allegedly, from third world countries, from war-torn nations, destitute people.
Well, look at it this way. Burchett was just talking about it, a week ago? He was saying, he was kind of dropping hints about that same line of thinking. This would light the world on fire, so to speak, and it would scare people. He even said it would keep you up at night thinking and worrying.
But it makes me wonder. It now makes me wonder how much truth there is to the theory that I have, that they know who's being abducted. They know who's being taken. They know who the multiple experiencers are. And this goes way beyond a Chris Bledsoe or a, you know, a Betty and Barney Hill or Travis Walton. This goes way beyond that. If they are kidnapping people for these experimentations, allegedly, because we have to say allegedly with everything to keep our legalities going. If this ever came out to be true, like fully true, because this is a subject that's going to get swept under the rug. We all know that. Nobody is going to acknowledge, nobody of any power, I should say, is going to acknowledge that, the U.S. military is allegedly kidnapping these people for this experimentation. That is so illegal.
Oh, yes.
It is so illegal.
Yeah, it's crimes against humanity in various ways. It's not only illegal, it's morally wrong. It's despicable. And I mean, if you have scientists saying, hey, look, we are trying to do this. Does anybody want to raise their hand and volunteer? Okay. Tell the people what you're doing. And you might get some people out there that might want to go through something like this. But to go out in the middle of the night or even broad daylight, we don't know what they're doing, and allegedly take random people and go do some very weird stuff to them. Yeah, that's scary. That's pretty scary in my book.
It makes me wonder. I remember the first time I interviewed Butch Witkowski, the late Butch Witkowski, who is still we lost him a few years ago, but he's still a hero around the SOR parts. Okay. And I remember the first time I interviewed him about human mutilations. One of the things he stated to me was that there's approximately 1.3 million Americans who go missing annually. And when the alphabet agencies like the FBI and everybody whittles those numbers down, okay, to people who have taken their own souls, to people who have disappeared because of nefarious acts due to crime syndicates, people who just want to vanish because they hate their life. Okay. When they track it all down, number by number, and they eliminate numbers, it always comes down to around 60,000 people annually who go missing. Now, we don't know what they do with these people. Okay. What do they do when they're done with them? Okay. Because eventually, from what I hear, the aliens will finally say, okay, we've got enough from you. What happens to that person who comes from a war-torn country then? Are they sent back, or are they sent packing in a more nefarious way? Right? What do we do with them? What about the people who went missing? What about the people who like, we don't know what they're doing? I hate to sound so vague on this, but realistically, that is the only truth we have. And that's the only lead we have regarding this subject. Now, other congressional people who may be in the know with this, whether it's Tim Burchett, whether it's Anna Paulina Luna, they need to get on this, because this involves real people.
It does. Based off how Tim Burchett is reacting and facial expressions when he's talking about this, he's seen something disturbing. He has seen something, whether it's exactly what we're talking about now or something even worse. I don't know yet. None of us do. But when you say 60,000 people, that's just here. That's not globally. That's just the United States. So if you just kind of do a little bit of mathing there, it's probably in the millions, or maybe at least 1 million people. And you got to think, like, what do you do with all that substance, like that physical mass, people? Are you sending them packing in weird ways and nefarious ways? Are they even saying, hey, well, you're done here on Earth, go get in that cargo ship and we're going to take you to another system and you're going to go work in a coal mine on Zantac or whatever? I don't know. But yeah, it's definitely something we need to start looking into. And it's all connected. It's so wild how everything that we're doing right now, you and me and talking, all these people that we're talking about that have passed, people that are in the news right now. This whole thing is global, and it's all connected with what's going on everywhere, whether it be wars, whether it be peace in a different country, people missing, people being brought back. It's all connected, and it's I think it goes way deeper and way crazier than we even suspect.
You would think. You would think. Maybe, maybe not. We don't know.
No, we don't.
And that is an answer. Like when you hear me talk about disclosure, this is the stuff that needs to come out. It's not about propulsion systems. It's not about anti-gravitics, because eventually they will bring that out to the public. This is the stuff that needs to come out. This is the stuff that you're not going to get with a controlled or what they call soft disclosure. And like I still stand by my statement. You know, how does President Trump get out of this if he is going to be disclosing things? How does he get out of it? We found a signal from a planet far, far away in a Goldilocks zone near its star, which would be its sun. And we have been able to confirm that it is of another life form out there in the universe. It's the safest way possible for him to get out of this now that the cat is out of the bag. But if he starts talking about aliens being here and UFO technology being here, not the UAP fake man crap, but the real UFO technology, they're not good. That's not disclosure. Disclosure needs to open up everywhere. Whether it's this story that's just coming out about hybridization, do they have lists of names of people who are allegedly being taken? Like Grant, if you found your name on a list, your government that you voted for, that you pay taxes to, has your name on a list, and they know that you get taken 6 times a year by aliens from Zeta Reticuli, how are you going to react that your government knew that?
Oh, I'd be livid, extremely livid. I would honestly, and this is just speaking from my experiences, it really wouldn't surprise me, but at the same time, I'd be highly upset about it. But once you get to that point, then what do you do? I mean, do you go out? Do you make a stand? How do you prove it? You know, and then it gets lost under the rug, like you swept under the rug, just like you say. You know, and there's 60,000 plus every year people being on that list. That's gross. It's sad that we got to have to worry about something like that, even though it might not even be the case. But yeah, no, there's so many things right now that we need to stand up for and start talking about, and they're just hiding it. They're not telling us the truth. They're saying, look over here, don't look behind the curtain. And I think we've been dealing with that for a very long time, at least the last 80 years. So I don't think anything's going to change there. And just like you said, when Obama came out and said, yeah, aliens are real, but I haven't seen one, and they're not at Area 51. And then he comes back again and says, well, you know, based off just the sheer size of the universe, mathematically speaking, it's impossible that there's not some other life form out there. That's a complete cop out. It's just an easy way out. And you know what? Sometimes you got to go against the rushing waters. You don't want to just flow the easiest path downhill.
That is the truth. That is the truth right there. We're going to keep an eye on this. We have to.
Absolutely.
It's too big of a story for us to let loose. It really is. Speaking of going on, why can we in the UFO world, Grant, not get enough of Bob Lazar?
Oh man, he's got one of the coolest stories, my man, and he doesn't change it. And now there's a really cool video out right now. He just hit Joe Rogan, if anybody is wondering, episode 2479, out there with Luigi Venatelli and talking about the new movie S4 that you have watched, and I'm kind of jealous. I want probably stream that tomorrow so I can see what all the hype's about. After reading some of the blurbs on what people are saying, this is going to be some cool tech. I wish I had some VR goggles myself so I could take a walk through the ship, so to speak.
Well, I will say this for people who don't know who Bob Lazar is. In 1989, Bob Lazar came out after getting allegedly fired from Area 51 and S4 for working on spacecraft, including one famous one that he calls the sports model, which is a sleek, disc-shaped craft, your prototypical flying saucer. And Luigi Venditelli from Montreal is a filmmaker who is very, very, with his very, very talented team, made a lot of AI scenes describing what Bob Lazar saw. So they literally for years interviewed Bob Lazar, said, okay, explain what the seats look like, explain what the generators look like, everything. And they put it into this movie, Grant.
So the AI part, they actually used very little of it. They did the sports model, and after reading everything, they handmade the CGI in Blender. And so they used very little AI, but it was a full-scale physical, and they made a full-scale physical model of this thing. And then they, of course, de-aged Lazar's face, which is really neat. And because man, I can't wait to see this. Oh my gosh.
You're
This is gonna
geeking
be
out over this, and you haven't even seen it.
No. Well, I geek out over Bob Lazar, period. I mean, I got to shake the man's hand. I'm pretty happy about that. I'm a fanboy.
And he lives in your community.
Yeah, he's like 15 minutes, 20 minutes away, something like that.
I know. But I saw the movie. Well worth the hype.
Okay.
A lot of the movie is what we already know. If you're in our field, you already know the story. It's just pictures put together of his timeline. But there was something very, very interesting about this that made me question things a little bit. There's this scene in the movie where there is this camera. I thought it was on Google, but our previous guest, Geo Turner, said they allowed this pilot to fly around Area 51 to take pictures of the mountains and all of this, right? Not the movie people, but some other pilot. And he had this very powerful camera on that could see into S4, Papoose Lake. And when they changed the aperture on the video to the scene where the base at S4 really was, so for people wondering about the base, allegedly it was in a mountainside. And they had these doors that would open up. They were camouflaged, and they would open up, hiding the craft. So when they took the craft out, they would fly it out over Papoose Lake and then take it off into the sky. And that's what would happen. Well, apparently on this photograph, this still photo, you can actually see the lines when you change the aperture and the colorization of the photo. You can actually see the lines of these doors in the dirt or alleged dirt. And when I saw that, I damn near jumped out of my chair. And I was like, that's the one. That to me is the piece of evidence that I needed. I've always believed him and wanted to believe him, Grant. But that was the one where I was like, that was my aha moment.
I got one for you then. And I know it's the same topic. If you can go and find, and I don't know if anybody can do this, but go and find an early to mid 90s Encyclopedia Britannica and the whole series, the set, and look up Area 51. And in that, I did a whole spiel for this for one of my classes, got an A+ on it in high school. And it talks about the doors, and it's in the mountainside, and it's called Area 72 in the encyclopedia. And I remember this because I did a full-fledged, you had to stand up in front of the class and talk about it. And that's obviously what I wanted to talk about because I'm interested in it, even at that young of age. And I'll tell you, they don't have that in the encyclopedias anymore at all. You cannot find it. You would have to find an old 90s set, probably in early 90s, and maybe then you'll find it. I don't even know if it was early 90s, late 80s, because they come out with sets like every year. And yeah, if you can find that, it aligns perfectly with what you're talking about.
You know, they brought up the controversy of him working at Los Alamos in New Mexico and how there was allegedly no evidence that he ever worked there. Everybody denied that he was ever there. Yet George Knapp had proof of the phone book that had Bob Lazar's name on it. And then there was a front page news article on Bob Lazar's jet car that he had built. And in that story, it states that he works at Los Alamos testing site.
Yeah, there's
And
been
here
people
they
that have
are like, no, we don't know who this Bob Lazar guy is. You're making things up. Nobody's ever worked here like this. And yet there was proof.
Yeah, you can't scrub it all. Someone even had his W-2 until it got took by a higher ranking officer.
Yes.
And, yeah.
That was Jim Goodall.
Yep.
Jim Goodall had it. You know, I like the movie. I would recommend the movie to anybody. It's $13.99 to rent on Amazon. That's Canadian. So like I said, it's about $6 American, $10 American, whatever it is. I think it's absolutely worth it. And even if you're not into UFOs, the Bob Lazar story is incredible. To me, he's a whistleblower. He is a whistleblower. He put his life on the line. They tried to kill him. Okay.
He even took people out to see the ships on time.
Yes.
A couple times.
Gene Huff and John Lear, the late John Lear. So it was, I really liked the movie. I really did. And Bob Lazar is one story that I always want to believe. I just do. I don't know why, but it's got that, you know, much like everybody else. The movie is called S4, The Bob Lazar Story. It is by Luigi Venditelli. We got to try and get him back on this show. He's been on before. We got to try and get him on again. And Grant, thank you for a great UFO report. Always appreciate you, my friend. As we say goodnight to Grant. And hello, Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal, rocking in the background with Little Brother is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at work, at home, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight. YouTube, Twitch, LGAP, Facebook, Spreaker, LinkedIn, the Space Travelers Club, and on X at hashtag Spaced Out Radio.
I know you're out there somewhere.
Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and Bigfoot Broadcasting Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends, we own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo Train has docked for the night, but soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we've got room for them too. Good night, everybody. Good job, Grantley.
Heck yeah, brother. Dude, I was all geared up to talk about Edgar Casey. I love talking about Edgar Casey.
I know. That was my bad. I'm sorry.
And then it could like I was like, wait a minute, he died a long time ago. What are you talking about? Because I
Steve
the
was
way
wrong guy.
no, it's fine. No, well the way when we were texting back and forth, and I took it as you were commenting both about we were talking about Edgar Casey and you were commenting about Nick. I was like, oh, that's why I said Jesus. This sucks. Because I mean, even with what we're into right now, as anybody knows, and I don't know if anybody has on in the chats right now has talked about Edgar Casey, but or studied the guy. He has some very interesting things to say about people of other spheres and planes and specifically planets and the Atlanteans, and so that gets right into my wheelhouse, and I'm like, oh yes, let's talk about this. I love it.
1 second here, brother. 1 second here. So let's go here. Paul Hightower, welcome to SOR chat. Emperor Penguin, how are you? Debaruni. Debaruni. Deb Baruni. Man. What am I doing here, Dave? Come on. Get it together. Oh, come on. Oh, well, this will work. This will work.
Dang it, Davey.
Let me get this done first, and then I can worry about that. Where are we here? Oh, for God's sakes, I hate when that happens.
Ugh. I've gone through like 5 gallons of water today.
You and your gallons down there. I don't understand the whole gallons thing.
I don't either. Because anytime I used to get in trouble, my grandfather would be like, mind your P's and Q's. And yes, Granddad.
You always got to mind the P's and the Q's, man.
You know, wasn't until later on in life when I finally figured out what that meant.
I have no idea what it means. You can fill me in.
Mind your pints and quarts. It actually came from taverns. And, you know, people get a little rowdy and start, you know, talking to each other. Mind your P's and Q's. Mind your pints and quarts. Little bar slang.
Got you. All right, let me go here then.
There was this you know, when you're sitting there on social media, you'll see those shorts, and I ran across one that was kind of old town looking, and it was all these old slangs and where our current slangs come from, current sayings. And the guy must have 50, 60 of them on there, and you can just go through them, and it'll tell you where all these really neat slang terms are from. It's really fun to watch. You'll waste a couple hours of your night watching it. Congratulations, Pat. 12 years sober. Good job, my man.
All right. Save that. Go like there. Go like this. Download. All right. Root vegetable. I only blow my loads once a year on my birthday because an entity told me it was a sin to do otherwise. Oh, we have somebody trying to be funny in the chat room. We have Roseanne Barr type funny here. How much more extra virgin olive oil did you have to rub on yourself in order to make that one happen? That's terrible. You know, if you're going to come into my chat room for the first time, at least be humorous. Okay? That is some of the worst fucking trolling I've ever seen. Honestly, it's terrible. You should be ashamed of yourself.
I don't even know where you
You should
found
be
that.
ashamed of yourself. It's not even funny. It's like Bob Saget, not funny. Lex Diaz, how you doing? I'd be ashamed to even type that. I don't mind you trying to troll the room, but at least be funny with it. You know, it's not even enjoyable. Shame on you coming in to see a bunch of strangers like that and trying to pull that one off. You got to do better. Do better. Okay. If you're going to try and be a troll, I mean, this is a troll like a 14-year-old would think is funny. And I'm pretty sure you're older than 14 if you're listening to this show, because you have to be 18 to see it. Of course I don't believe it, because you're being an idiot. Be a better troll. If you're going to root vegetable, if you're going to be in my chat room, be a better troll. Okay? Come in with, like Nicole says, come in looking for 3 boobed alien ladies. Okay?
Man, where can I find one of them?
You're disgusting. It's my room. I make the rules. This isn't a democracy. It's a Daveocracy. And if you're gonna bring in some absolutely piss poor shit talking like that, you know, can you not see what he's posting? Deb?
Nah, Jules just got rid of them.
Oh, Jules, let me have this one, Jules. I know you're doing your job. Did she just gas him?
Message delete. Nah, I just deleted the messages. I can go back and find it.
Oh no, Jules, did he gas him? Because I was starting to have fun there. I was. I did say what the troll said. He said, I only blow my loads once a year on my birthday because an entity told me it was a sin to do otherwise. And I just said, that's not funny trolling. Like, then he goes, I'm being honest, typical naysayer. And then, yeah, of course you don't believe it. Gross. So.
Oh, God.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Thank you, Paramarv. Oh, you timed him out for 5 minutes. Okay. All right. Good. Good. That's my Jules. She knows how to read my mind. Good job, Jules. Good job. Look, to the trolls out there, and look, we know who you are the minute you enter our room. Okay. I'll give you a little tip what never works. Okay. If you're going to be a troll, never come into the chat room and your first comment is, hey, can I get a link? I want to make a comment.
Oh, yeah.
That will never, ever pay off. Okay. We're not stupid. All right. Number 2, when you come in and say something that's like Bob Saget, not funny, okay, or Dave Coulier, not funny, or Whoopi Goldberg, not funny, and this one was on Whoopi Goldberg, not funny, type of not funny. All right. Like you could probably be in the audience of The View because it's that not funny.
Oh,
okay. If you're going to make a comment about that kind of crap, you know, you got to up your game a little bit. Okay. If you're going to troll and you want to try and troll hard and get a reaction, make it funny. Okay. Insults will get you banned. Okay. Like the last thing you want to have on your resume is, oh, by the way, I am Ray Romano, not funny. Okay. You don't want that reputation.
Shit, this is classic. You're
like,
funny.
If you're going to come into my chat room and start stirring shit up or try to, at least make it enjoyable. Okay. Because I'll be honest with you, you got no game. just to put it bluntly, you're fucking terrible. You're terrible at what you do. Retire before you get ahead. All right. Grant, I'm not trying to speak out of turn here.
No, I know.
I'm not.
Oh, I'm very well aware.
And how often do you hear me swear on this show? You
Not
don't.
often. So,
You don't, but it picks me off.
yeah, after the show every now and again, but
Yeah, but that's after the show. But what I'm saying is, like, if you're gonna troll, no, it was Ellen DeGeneres not funny as well, because she's not funny. She's never been. What you know? What Ellen I can't even say her last name.
degenerate.
Ellen DeGeneres. The only reason why she had laughs was because it was canned laughter that they hit the laugh button on.
Yep, soundboards.
She has never been funny. I don't know how anybody could sit there and say, "Oh, Ellen DeGeneres is funny." She is not funny at all.
No.
Nobody wants to wish that upon anybody. I don't wish Ellen DeGeneres not funny on anybody, man.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So if that
Absolutely.
person comes back, which I doubt they will because they won't have the balls to. Okay, let's just get the name here for a second. What was the name here?
Root vegetable.
Root vegetable. Root vegetable. All right. If root vegetable actually does come back to this room, because now they're not going to normally when you call out a troll like that, they don't come back because they're like, gig is up. You know, these people realize that I'm Ellen DeGeneres, not funny. Right. And so what happens is you don't get to have fun with them anymore. And it's a sad case. Like, it's almost like a Sally Struthers commercial back in the 1980s. It's a sad case where for just 34 cents a day, you can support your own troll and you can help make them funny. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. Maybe that's just me.
Oh my God.
Is he back? Well, he should be back. I hope he's back. Hopefully he can up his game, because if he isn't, you know, then we'll give it to him again. LOL, I derailed the entire show. You didn't derail the show. The show is over. I'm just telling you that if you're going to bring some game, bring it. Okay? Because right now, you're Ellen DeGeneres, not funny. Nobody wants that for you, man. We're trying to help you. If you're going to troll, try improving your game.
Well, what's crazy is he even doubled down and was like, "I'm being honest." Like, what?
I know. It's terrible. It's terrible.
Oh God. I hope he comes back.
Well, he is back. He is back, but he hasn't figured out how to respond yet. Flat Sixer, how you doing, buddy? Mm-hmm. Oh man, this is my life.
Yeah.
This is what I signed up for.
Oh, yeah. Well, now I know the third thing you get fired up over. It's number 3.
You know what's really pissed me off? I got to tell you this.
Yeah.
As you get older, and I might say a little fatter, because I'm getting a little fat right now. Okay, I have been getting a little fat these days, so I'm insulting myself there. Okay, you see what I did there? I'm insulting myself. Anyways, you start getting these skin tags. You know what those are?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I'll tell you. I've decided, I guess my body decided, hello, dirty. Hello, dirty.
There, I spelled it right this time.
All right.
Bruderschaft.
Anyways, my body decided to put one of these skin tags in my armpit.
Oh yeah.
My left armpit. That little rodent that's growing on me right now is so sore.
Ooh.
Yeah. So you know what I did right before the show? I pulled half of it off.
Yeah.
And it was big, man. It was like a big one.
Yeah. If I get them, they come right off. I don't let them stick around.
Filthy wants a smooch from us. Mwah. There you go, Dirty. Now show us some chest hair.
Just say, oh,
Not you, Baldy.
Yeah, I don't have any.
Dirty's the king of the chest hair. He really is.
Yes, he is. I wish you could post pictures up on the chats, dude. That'd be epic. I guarantee you, we're gonna get a instant messenger here in just a second.
Oh yeah, that's exactly what's going to happen. Sackage sent me a picture of her giving me the middle finger like she's picking her nose like this. There you go, Nick. There's your return right there. Salad, what's happening? What kind of salad are you, by the way? I'm really hoping you're a Greek salad because I like a good Greek salad.
I could agree with that.
Only when they put the olives in there that actually have the pits that are out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like the little purple ones.
Yeah, those purple ones. I mean, they're good. Oh, he's a poke salad. The hell is a poke salad?
Everybody's looking it up.
Yeah, my favorite salad would be a Greek salad. And you can never have enough feta on a Greek salad.
Oh, hell no. I buy it in blocks.
Now I got to see what a poke salad is. Hold on. Not poke weed. I want a poke salad. Poke salad with bacon and eggs. Well, that's out. Bacon I would go for, but the minute you put the eggs in there, now that's breakfast. I'm not having a salad for breakfast. Oh, that looks good.
Oh, that's
That
salad is my
actually looks I'm not going to lie. That looks really good. It's actually making me hungry. Actually making me hungry.
Yeah, I'm a
I
bowl
like a
salad
good
guy.
Caesar as well.
Was that?
I like a good Caesar salad as well.
They got their place. They have their moments. I like a little bit heartier salad.
When you get a Ukrainian people making Caesar salad, you know how much garlic goes into that?
The whole clove, the whole
Dude,
bundle.
it's more than one clove. You got about 30 cloves in there.
The whole bundle.
That's when it makes it really good. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Dirty, I haven't got my picture yet.
Yeah, I was waiting for that. I know I got some of it.
I don't. He didn't even send me the picture of his chest hair yet. What a prick! What a prick! That's our Dirty right there. Hello, Dirty. You know the best part about that is I can hear him right now. Right after I said hello, Dirty, I can all of a sudden hear him say hello, Dave, because that's what he does.
Dave.
It's the kind of guy he is. So literally, I don't even have to hear him to know that he's actually responding out loud.
Oh, I guarantee you he is.
Absolutely.
100%. And then he'll do it so long, he'll be like, I'm just rambling. I love him so much.
You know what the screwed up part about it is? I now catch myself during the day when I think of Dirty Filth. And sometimes I'll think about him because his cartoons are funny or they'll come across my screen. And I'll just be like, hello, Dirty. I know at that exact moment he's thinking, hello, Dave. You know, because that's the kind of guy he is.
Yep.
It's totally the kind of guy he is.
Yeah. He is. I'll tell you, I fell in love with him.
Oh yeah, how can you not?
He is the
Dirty
greatest.
Filth, man.
And for anybody that wants to meet him when he comes down and might patronize one of our Las Vegas parties, oh, you'll get a kick out of him. He is one of the most chillax dudes, and he has great conversational skills.
Let's guess the Swedish town Tom is in. Aggravated progressive. Let's guess the town he's in. I'm gonna say you're in Pattaya or Luleå, or you'll be impressed when I pronounce this one. Ornskuldsvik. Are you in Ornskuldsvik? Because I'll guarantee you that that you're in one of those ones.
Leave it to you to be able to pronounce stuff like that.
He's not in Stockholm. Stockholm's too popular. Nobody who listens to this show is from Stockholm. It's too progressive. Guaranteed. I'm going with Ornskuldsvik. Yeah, I say that right, but not foyer. It is foyer. It's not foyer. Oh, yeah, he could be from Jinkoping. Jim Wimborough, welcome. How you doing? Welcome to the chat room, my man.
Heck yeah.
Maybe I should hit transfer on that. That might work. That already work? There's no way that went through that fast. Maybe it did.
Time flies when you have fun.
What the hell is this going so fast for? Upload. Something seems wrong there. I feel like I need to redo that. But it's sent. It's showing it's sent. If I download that, what does it look like? Hold on. Hold on. Download.
Hold on. My phone just vibrated.
All right.
Yes.
It did too. Wow, that was fast. I don't
We
know
got the
what
second.
happened, but my latest computer update totally has my downloads going like uber fast. Like that one's already done too.
We can blame it on the sunspots.
I don't know, but I finally, after years, got the sweet spot on this, shipping the show over to the radio stations. Let me tell you, it is nice. It's saving me big time.
Look at your instant messenger, Dave.
Uh-huh.
Gonna
Hold on,
crank
where
that off
is-
later.
I'm on the STD capital of America. Oh God, that's not funny. Try and be funny, please. We just had a big speech about people being not funny here. All right.
I did show Miss Phil my ankles.
Is it me when we get a good update a week later we hate it? Probably. Probably, but this one's actually I'm starting to figure it out now. When I do a Microsoft update, I'm starting to figure out what's going on. It's only taken me a bunch of years, but I'm almost there. I am almost there.
All right. I've been laid up so long, by the time I get down to the computer desk and actually get on the show for real, I'm going to have to blow 4 inches of dust off the sinking thing and update the snot out of it.
Mm-hmm. I'm just closing some of my windows here.
Oh, Nicole, don't get me started on that. I don't want to talk about it right now. I will go into a rage. All the
Okay.
BS. Ugh.
Do you believe that we just pulled a slingshot around the moon and didn't get aliens? Well, isn't it funny how the feed kind of cut when they got close to the moon?
So they even toted, because Japan or China has multiple satellites that are going around it. So we should theoretically have complete contact with them all the way around the backside. My biggest thing is what everybody's saying. There you'll see on Facebook and all these other social media sites where they have the pictures of Earth, and it's like, come on, guys. Like, while you're sitting there playing with this little ball thing that looks complete CGI'd, and people have caught it because you can see it, and then everybody's like, just grab the camera, go to the window, and show us. Like, how hard is that? You know what I mean? Like, here, look, one smooth. Oh, we don't want to waste the space of the media drives and storage space. It's like, give me a break, dude. 20 seconds.
Get bent, NASA, you bunch of pricks.
Yep. Never a straight answer.
Uh-huh.
I just someone made actually a funny meme the other day, and it showed, the 4 astronauts in NASA's space capsule, and then it showed astronauts in what is it, Starship, whatever it is from Elon. And it's like, how come they always look like they come straight out of Star Wars and everything's just haphazard and caped against walls, where then you look at Elon's stuff and it's all nice and computer screens and just cool looking.
Oh, we have an update on Dirty Filth's chest hair.
Yes, we
Go.
do.
There's his chest hair right there. Deb, don't get all excited. All right, don't get all excited. There it is.
I've had my face in that, just for anybody that wants to be jealous.
I think I've had my fingers in there, so. All right. Thank you, Dirty. So dirty. Uh-huh. Where did our new friend Root Vegetable go?
Yeah, I was wondering. Oh well. Wonder if you can look up his actual YouTube channel. Oh my goodness.
Let's call Dirty Filth.
I love Dirty. He wanted a link a little bit ago.
I know, but I got to get going to bed here. I got to work in the morning and get tortured tomorrow. Hello, Dirty.
What you doing?
Grant and I got the microphone of the phone right to my microphone, and we're listening to you, along with the world around you listening to you.
The world around me. Hello, world.
Hello, world.
Hello, world.
I showed your chest hair.
Nice.
Yeah, that was a good.
Everybody has tight pants or wet panties, one of the two now. Later here.
Yeah, Grant is all excited.
Grant's all giddy. He's probably just cranking his hog or whatever.
Dirty, have you moved into your new house yet?
No, I get possession on the 28th and everything's packed up and it's annoying. I'm stealing Wi-Fi off my neighbors.
You already canceled your Wi-Fi?
The Mrs. Dad moved over to the new place because I'm a slumlord and now I have a tenant, so he's paying for it, so it's all moved over there. That's why I can't do any cartoons in the weekend.
Are you happy about being a slumlord now?
I fulfilled a lifelong dream.
How much rent are you charging him?
Well, his original rent was $16.25 with boardwalk, so we leveled it out at $16.20.
Does he get any features and benefits with that, like hot water? I mean, you are in Edmonton.
Yeah, well, all that stuff comes in on the other side because the missus is always boiling herself in hot water to remind her of her health and where she's from. So,
oh, the old Root Vegetable, but he's not showing Root Vegetable on our channel.
Right? No root vegetable.
No.
You guys should have more carrots and potatoes in your lives.
He needs more creatine. because his trolling was terrible.
Oh, that's the guy that was trolling people earlier.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, I missed it. I could have outclinted him.
He totally went Ellen DeGeneres, not funny.
Also, like somehow Nirvana's a classic rock band and Pink Floyd was good.
Pretty much. Pretty much.
So what are you guys doing?
Well,
I'm
I'm gonna
just
get ready
like
to. I'm gonna get ready
Clearing the
to.
atmosphere.
I'm gonna get ready to sign off, and go find a snack before I go to bed. Hopefully, there's an Oreo cookie or two left for me.
Why don't you have some cucumbers with some cucumbers and tomatoes with a little salt and pepper on them, Dave? That's always good.
Yeah. Yeah, I got to go shopping.
See, I eat those kind of things, but then I end up dipping them in like blue cheese and all the high calorie stuff.
It's
Just
good blue cheese.
oh yeah.
Yeah, but do you like liquidy blue cheese or like crunchy blue cheese with a little bit of like guff to it?
Yeah, I like the hearty blue cheese.
He's a hearty blue cheese kind of guy. And on
That's
that
good.
note, we're going to call it the night here. Grant, thank you for a great show. I'm getting hungry. I got to go to bed, and hopefully I survive tomorrow.
Have a good night, brother.
All right. The rest of you, thank you to T-Bone, Mickey, JSEO, and Pat for the super chats. Greatly appreciated. Astro Fugitive, how you doing? Oh, I know Oreos before bed aren't good. I have not been good. Right now, I'm about keeping myself happy.
He's not getting Christmas presents so far this year.
Right? Talk to you tomorrow night, guys. Take
Have a
care.
good night, bye.
Hold on. Who's our guest tomorrow night? Who's our guest? Dirty? Who's our guest? Christian McLeod tomorrow night. Christian McLeod.
Yes.
All right. See you tomorrow night, guys.
Stay healthy, my friend.
You too.
If you need bail money, give me a call.
Always, Dad. Take care.
You too.